Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto has reiterated that his administration has freed the police service from political and influential people's control. Ruto, while presiding over the Passat parade of AP officers, said that he had also made possible through the transfer of police budget to the Office of the Inspector General of Police. He said the police now have the freedom to make financial decisions on their own.
We have liberated the police service from political and bureaucratic control by relocating the police budget from the Office of the President to the Office of the Inspector General. Without autonomy, the police service is vulnerable to weaponization, making it a threat instead of an asset to challenges in our security and law and order sectors.
Ruto further challenged police officers to familiarize themselves with technological trends in a bid to understand the evolving dynamics in the fight against crime. He noted that his government has invested in equipping security forces with the necessary technology to help them fight crime.
It is important for every police professional to rise to this challenge by acquiring insights to empower them in understanding complicated and sophisticated criminal and security threats and skills that enable them work effectively with modern technology and modern equipment.
Now, 9 counties have been mapped by the government as being in a alarm drought phase, including Kilifi, Mandera, Marsabit, Samburu, Turkana, Wajir, Isiolo and Kajiado. EAC ESOLs and Regional Development CS Rebecca Miano says they're conducting a multi-agency assessment of the 2022 short rain season to ascertain its impact on food security. She says the assessment will inform the scale of interventions the government will take to mitigate the drought situation in the country. Miano said that at least 4.35 million Kenyans are in dire need of relief food as the drought continues to bite, while 960,000 children are severely malnourished.
The priority interventions are informed by findings gathered by county steering groups. The interventions include relief food, cash transfers, screening and treatment for malnutrition. We have water tracking, provision of livestock feeds, and livestock offtake.
And an autopsy to find out what killed LGBTQ activist Edwin Kiprotich Elias Chiloba has revealed he died of suffocation. Government pathologist Johnson Odor, after conducting the autopsy on the late Chiloba, also revealed that the activist's body had no physical injuries. Odor said that more tests will be performed to determine whether the late Chiloba was dragged prior to being suffocated. It established that he died from lack of oxygen. He added that they discovered 3 pieces of sock stuffed in his mouth, cutting off his air supply, and a pair of denim pants covering his mouth and nose.
So pairs of socks which you saw inside the mouth. The body was cyanosed. Cyanosis means that this person was not getting enough oxygen to the body when he died. I didn't see any injury at all when I look at the body. When I open up the body, the brain was swollen, and swelling of the brain is seen in people who have what's called asphyxia. When you lack oxygen, which gets into your brain, it gets swollen. There are also injuries inside the mouth. We saw a lot of injuries inside the mouth and on the tongue. Other organs were normal, other than being decomposed.
Meanwhile, police officers investigating the matter holding 5 suspects in connection to the murder. Now, more than 14,600 teachers who are affected by the delocalization policy are set to be transferred back to their home counties. Teacher Service Commission CEO Nancy Macharia says only 120 teachers who had applied for transfers are yet to be transferred due to lack of replacements. A total of 14,733 teachers from across the country had submitted their applications for transfer to their local counties when TSC opened the window. Teachers affected will have their transfers effected by the Commission headquarters. Now, 4 police officers who were arrested for attempting to rob a man who works at a foreign exchange bureau in the Nairobi CBD will remain in custody for 7 more days pending the conclusion of investigations. Sergeant Daniel Wambua and Constable Stanley Mohammed Gitong of DCI Kasarani, Corporal Elliot Bohr attached to the United Nations office in Nairobi in Gilgil, as well as Nicholas Murira of Mugudha Police Station were intercepted in Muthaiga. Police say a businessman who runs a bureau along Mamangina Street had withdrawn 2 million shillings from a nearby bank in the company of his colleague at around 11 a.m. when Wambua Gitonga Board apprehended them, purporting to arrest them for an offence they did not disclose. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
This is the Modern Vibes on Vibes Radio.
Good vibration.
Modern Vibes, where you are the MVP.
Let me hear a drum play.
Rise and shine to positive vibes with the MVPs every morning.
And now for our feature presentation.
Have a reggae morning on Vibes Radio. This is the Modern Vibes on Vibes Radio.
What's your why? You need a why. Why do you need a why? Because some days you're going to say, I don't want to get up. But that why is going to say, I'll push yourself. Get up. Your mama needs you. Your daddy needs you. Your children need you. Get up. Your why is going to push you when you can't push yourself. When you want to quit and give up, your why is going to give you that edge you need, that advantage you need, that lift that you need to get to the next level. Your why.
Positive vibrations, positive vibrations, positive vibrations on the Morning Vibes.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
You've had the luxury of living for 50 years and you cannot still explain yourself. Surely. Oh my God.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No. Since I'm not shipping out. You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the sheep in the bathtub? Or
the sheep man.
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a sheep. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a sheep or a sheep goat?
87.9 Spice FM, Mombasa.
good morning. It's Thursday, and let's see what the streets are looking like this morning. Coming off Mombasa Road, doesn't look too bad. Looking like a little bit of traffic as you're getting over the Mara Drift and then out towards General Motors. But for now, it looks all right. Jogo Road is flowing as you get to the junction at that City Stadium roundabout. It slows down a little bit. Some bumper-to-bumper action happening there, but again, nothing too crazy at the moment. It's moving on the Thika Superhighway. Folks are looking at the service lanes to use now, so use that at the junctions of Juja Road and Manyanja Road, as well as Kangunda Road. Connecting on Outer Ring, we're seeing the free flow of traffic, which will pile up as we get closer to 7 o'clock. We're starting off things right. Hopefully we can keep it that way going through the morning. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter and keep things moving.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's the second Friday of next year. What's your problem? How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Good
You're
morning.
well?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Go with the flow, bwana. Kona. City?
Yes, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, actually.
Very good.
This cold has subsided.
You and the weather are now speaking same language.
No, we are actually, as you would say, we are in the same WhatsApp group.
You had a meeting like Wamatangi and the MCS.
Or should I say, we had a meeting like Kawera Mwangaza and the MCS.
Yeah, Kawera Pana. That one didn't go well. That one did not go well.
This one of Matangi's went well.
This one of Matangi, at least, it happened.
It happened.
Karibu sana to Thursday. It's the 12th day of which month? Of January 2000 and what year? 2023.
You know, I don't know why we're in January, yet it feels as though we're in the middle of the year.
No.
Just feels.
We're actually in the middle of the financial year.
It feels like a lot has happened. Time has gone by.
Since that day when we celebrated New Year.
Yeah, New Year was a long time ago.
Remember that day? Where were you actually? Do you remember? It's a long time ago.
It was a while ago, wasn't it?
Very many things have happened since then. Yeah, and you, Ndu, how are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all right. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Now, I don't know how it is, but if you say you're all right, that's fine.
Okay, so.
Now I know. Now I know how it is. Welcome, everybody. We will be having several conversations today. Where, Ednah, you didn't do that thing at that group. So now, where are these stories? Okay, so what is our 7 a.m. conversation, Ednah, now that you did not share it there? Who is the kingpin of Mount Kenya politics? Who is it? Do you know?
Do they know?
Do the Mount Kenya
Does the person who is the kingpin know that the kingpin?
Is there politics in Mount Kenya?
Where is Mount Kenya?
To start with.
Where exactly is Mount Kenya?
There's a lawyer called Ndegwa Njiro. Ndegwa Njiro has been a lawyer who's participated in several of impeachment proceedings in the Senate. He's been seen there several times. But he's also very vocal on several matters of politics and governance. He'll be joining us at 7 o'clock because he's been on this particular matter for a bit. So we want to hear from him. So Wakili, a quick one. Who's the kingpin of Mount Kenya politics?
It's going to be one question and it could go on for an hour.
Oh, yes. With that one, Wakili, a quick one. So that is at 7 o'clock. At 8 a.m., let's talk about this new year and thinking about managing your finances in these harsh economic times. You don't believe they're harsh? Wait until you give you the headlines in the papers today. You will be hearing from the vice chairperson of the Safaricom Sacco, Elizabeth Mudogo, who joins us at 8 a.m. for that conversation. Conversation number 3 at 9 a.m. So yesterday, the Cabinet Secretary for EAC and ASAL, the Honourable,
No, there are many letters.
Yes, it's all her.
No, an EAC one.
That is her.
Then ASL.
That is her doctor. I'm the Minister EAC and ASAL.
Yeah.
Yes. The Honourable Rebecca Miano was addressing the media and talking about, the state of the drought situation and those counties that are facing hunger. So there are those that are there are different categories. What are they called? Those categories? Okay, we'll talk about that.
I'll
We'll talk about the categories, but we'll be talking about the pain of hunger. And the Honorable Grace Kiptuya, former woman rep for Baringo County, who's been a guest on this show before, will be joining us at 9 o'clock to talk about why relief food will not end suffering in the ASAL areas. And so, what is needed to end suffering in the ASAL areas? Sawa. That's a conversation. Tell us about the conversation globally with regards to COVID-19.
There's a gentleman called Andrew Bridgen, and he's a Tory MP. He's a Conservative MP, and apparently he's been spreading misinformation about COVID vaccination. Okay?
According to who?
Let me tell you. So he's the MP for North Leicestershire, and he posted a tweet that compared vaccines to the Holocaust.
Right.
The chief whip, Simon Hart, said the comments had crossed the line and caused great offence. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak also condemned the remarks, calling the comparison utterly unacceptable. Mr. Hart said Bridgen would lose the party whip, meaning he will sit as an independent while a formal investigation takes place. As a nation, we should be very proud of what we've achieved through the vaccine program. The vaccine is the best defense against COVID that we have. Misinformation about the vaccine causes harm and costs lives. The MP is currently serving a 5-day suspension from Parliament for breaching parliamentary rules on registering financial interests. He was previously critical of policies like lockdown and vaccine passports, but he praised the development of COVID vaccines and tweeted proudly when he received his doses. However, last autumn, he began to make increasingly baseless claims, including that vaccines were killing many people and that the damage was being covered up, and said, essentially, there is a Holocaust as a result of vaccinations. He began highlighting some real but rare instances of genuine vaccine injury and misinterpreting real data to suggest that these cases were more common than the research suggests.
Okay, so there were real cases.
There were some cases of death. Now, what they're saying is that they were not sure. Now, based on those cases, he was saying, if we have seen this, that there's a lot more that's is happening,
covered up,
and that there's a lot more that has been covered up, and many people are dying as a result of taking these vaccines.
Okay.
Now,
so those that are arguing against that, do they have any information to the contrary?
They're saying that those claims cannot be proven, and the issue here, they're not denying that maybe there are more deaths. The problem was that he used the word Holocaust and likened that, and basically was debasing what the UK had done in terms of vaccinations and saying you're bringing in vaccinations here, but you're killing people at the same time, and there's a Holocaust going on. And the folks did not take this very lightly.
Okay, what he said is, this is the biggest crime against humanity since the Holocaust. He did not say this is a Holocaust. Surely. So, those... I don't know what he's saying. Sometimes I just sit back and I think, when somebody says something and then people come out so tough and harsh on him and saying, he's making utterly baseless claims.
Any comparison made to the Holocaust is completely inappropriate, belittling one of the greatest horrors ever committed by humanity. That was according to the Conservative chairman, Nadim Zahawi, who's also a former vaccines minister. And he said he was appalled by Mr. Bridgen's remarks.
How has that belittled the Holocaust?
As in, how can you say that if some people have died because of some reaction to the vaccines, that you're likening it to the Holocaust?
But no, you're not you're saying this is the biggest crime since the Holocaust. How is that likening the Holocaust?
Essentially, you have given the Holocaust its rightful place.
Yes.
You have said this was a horrible, terrible smudge on our history, a terrible thing that happened on the planet.
And the next worst things have happened
is
since
what's
then
happening
is
now.
this.
Yes.
How is that likening it to the Holocaust or belittling the Holocaust?
So... He has been suspended for 5 days, and during those 5 days, he can only act as an independent, and then thereafter they will see whether they will put him back as a Conservative. And so this is misinformation about the COVID vaccination. According to them, you cannot tell us that many more people are dying if you don't have adequate proof of the same. Okay? Very fast.
Right.
Ministry of Health in Kenya.
So problem is what exactly? The mention of the Holocaust or the story of the vaccine?
Both. They're saying, first of all, you're using sensational speech. And then number two, you're saying many people are dying. Where's your evidence?
But he has come up with there are people who have died. Okay?
But
Now-
then he's saying that there's a cover up
And he's
here,
saying there's a cover
and that
up.
many more people are dying.
And he's saying, I have spoken to a doctor who's involved in this. So,
You know, this story, much as it's being fought, in fact, as far as I'm concerned, what gives this story credit is the vigor with which it's being fought.
yes.
Remember, there was a story of the zero COVID presence, etc., in China. Okay, now what are we talking about now?
Diplomatic spats back and forth between the China, South Korea and Japan. We're talking about the world now stopping Chinese travelers from moving. The Lunar New Year is coming up. Billions of people shall be traveling, and the world is giving China side eye and saying,
You know, we have Ebola, which just rears its head every once in a while in this region of ours. Kills people quickly, okay? And terribly. Okay? Now, when we don't have Ebola, HIV never really went anywhere.
yes, we'll have other things to contend with.
Yes, it's
Dengue,
there.
malaria.
Precisely. Malaria still kills people. Okay? Now, it's malnutrition, hunger, drought, simple absence of food, also killing people.
Yep.
So our problems are many. Then COVID came in, it just joined the queue. Now, if somebody wants to make a big hoo-ha about such an issue, yesterday, remember when we were talking to Dr. Lilly with regards to the borderlands, and talked about one of their leaders who actually got a grant that he had at Harvard axed because of what was perceived to be an anti-Semitic comment he had made. And you read the story, you wonder, okay,
What exactly did he say?
you read and say,
Oh, this was the Human Rights Watch.
precisely, the Human Rights Watch boss. And he's saying, but wait a moment. They report both sides of atrocities. The ones caused by the Israelis, the one caused by the Palestinians. So where is it that he has been biased? Remember, we challenged that particular comment. Now, I'm saying this because what you're reading reminds me of that. Someone goes off left field on an issue.
Just because you've mentioned
Yes.
one word.
And they disregard what was, it starts off with, what was actually said is disregarded.
It's deflecting.
Yes,
really, what
you
is it?
create a completely new story. Anyway, please continue.
Very quickly, 22 cases of COVID in the country is what we're looking at now. Kenya, from a sample size of 695, we're looking at under 10% in terms of positivity rate from this new one. We're still looking at a few of those cases coming out of Siaya County, Nairobi, Nakuru, Kiambu and West Pokot. Still low numbers, still come out and get your vaccine. Andrew was successful, got his second booster and got his certification updated.
Very good, very good. Very nice, very nice, very nice. 24 minutes after 6. Are you online this morning? Because we are live streaming the show. You're online? Very nice, very nice. Now, what you need to do is get onto our Facebook page, SpiceFMKE, or tag us on Twitter at SpiceFMKE. Let us know where you're tuned in from, and we will acknowledge your presence shortly. First, we take a look at the weather forecast.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The adults in the room.
He's promiscuous or he's polygamous. We need to get over ourselves.
So I should always know the man that marries me, I know there will be other women.
Yes.
The relationship you have with yourself is the foundation of the relationships you will have with other people. Things that we never talk about. 3 things. Stop, breathe, and relax.
Whether it is matters of the heart, finances, or work that's weighing on your mind, worry not.
Tune in to Adults in the Room
every Monday to Friday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
The adults in the room will help you stay winning. Only on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Cloudy conditions at 16 in Nairobi this morning. Highs of 26, and we'll see highs of 28 in a mostly cloudy Nakuru at 13. It's 9 degrees and partly cloudy in Nyeri, going to highs of 25 into Thursday, and we'll see highs of 24 in a clear Eldoret at 10. It's 25 and cloudy in Mombasa, highs of 31, and we'll see highs of 32 in a partly cloudy Malindi at 26. It's 19 and cloudy in Kisumu, highs of 28, and highs of 29 in Kakamega, where it's cloudy at 15. 19 and partly cloudy conditions in Kampala, highs of 26, and we'll see highs of 32 in Dar es Salaam, where it's cloudy at 26. 14 and cloudy in Johannesburg, highs of 29, and highs of 34 in Lagos, where it's clear at 25. 25 and cloudy in Kinshasa, highs of 28. And looking east into Beijing, it's 2 degrees going into Thursday afternoon. Cloudy, highs of 3 and lows of minus 3. Paris is cloudy at 10. We'll see highs of 12 and highs of 12 as well. In a rainy London this morning, it's mostly cloudy at 2 degrees in New York. Wednesday night, we'll see highs of 4 and lows of 2 Thursday.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
7 minutes to 7.
Andrew Franklin got his second
No, it's 27 minutes after 6.
Yes, it is. What did you say? After 5?
I said to 7.
Okay, so
it is okay.
No problem.
It is okay. I mean,
people
this
can
is a
panic.
continuation.
You can think, man, I have lost 5 minutes.
Yesterday,
I needed those 5 minutes.
We gave the exchange rate of the shilling to the Uganda shilling, the 27, where exactly 270. So, 6:45, 27 to 7, we're good.
We're good.
It's all right.
At least you understand what we are trying to say. Koba Hakaba.
Yes,
I've even
exactly.
spoken Hausa for you. Okay.
No, that's Poka Paka Paka.
Koba Hakaba. Isn't it?
Yes.
Andrew Franklin says good morning. He says, got my second MOH authorized Moderna booster shot at Nairobi Hospital. Walk in, walk out, took less than 10 minutes and all documentation was updated. Open for all. M to F. What's M to F? 8 to 4 p.m. Now you know. Why, thank you, Andrew. Good to know that was done for you. Good morning. Help me say that name, I beg you.
Which one? Kehiohi Kenyajui.
Thank you, that one. How did you say it again?
Kehiohi.
I like it.
Kehiohi Kenyanjui.
Good morning to you, Karibu Sana. Thanks for joining us. This says, good morning, Team Spice. Babu Kanja Robert says, a local pharmacy is a great place to get a safe and effective COVID vaccine as well as a flu shot. It's critical that people get vaccines to protect themselves and slow the spread of the COVID virus as well as the flu. Okay. He's in Ukunda, Indiani, and he says it's the best show, gives me updates, current affairs, and helps me get away from village mentality arguments. Okay. Walala. Wallace Karanja is tuned in from Kikuyu, and Idewa Francis says he's tuning from Mombasa this morning. Bewa Macha is tuning from Machakos. Lady and gentlemen, tuning from Kulwen in Yakat sub-county is where Cleophas is. Good morning, A-Team. Happy to listen to you guys every morning. Asante Sana, Samboja, Karibu Sana. Ndu and the gang. It could be a band, guys. We could do the thing. Ndu and the gang. Wilson Guthrie says good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What is Vibes Radio doing on 102.5?
Who knows,
Who knows, man?
Visiting.
Giving you the vibe.
They just visited this morning. Briefly. It was good to have them while they were here. So yes, don't worry, everything is all right. No, the frequency did not change overnight. You're good. Odero Jr. is tuning from the Great Wall. Jambo, Matthias Owalo says good morning from the Czech Republic, and he says it's warming up. Now it's 0 degrees and it has warmed up. So my friend, you can imagine.
It's heading to the positives now. Okay.
Jane Duta is tuned in to her favorite people this morning. Good morning to you, everybody who's tuning in. Pole Pole, Karibuni Sana. Thank you for joining us.
I see Karongo Adango announced you as the winner of his
We Stay Winning
name pronunciation challenge, and the prize goes to Ndu. So what did you win? Tuambie bwana, we helped you. It's our win.
We're all winning.
Yes.
When one of us wins, we all win.
We all win.
When you mispronounce me, I smiled. That was my contribution.
Anyway, CT?
Yes, please.
Using your Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra and all these things.
Right.
Da,
da, da, da, da, da. Do not laugh at a snake because it walks on its belly.
Now,
sounded like you're starting a story. You even adjusted your glasses.
Please say what you wanted to say.
Can one said to walk if it doesn't have feet?
Yes.
Will you slither? Slither on your belly. So now
Okay, translates.
You think in Lesotho there is a word for slither, walk, run.
Translate
blah, blah, blah.
slither into
Lesotho.
the Igbo
language
branch of language which you speak.
Igbo branch of language. Wow. I have to think of the word. I need to think of the
we
word.
do not have.
I'm just asking.
Walk is not
Why
using
two
your
of you
walk
are
is
angry?
movement.
I don't understand.
Move from here to there.
Why are you upset? I'm just asking. Can one said to have been walking if they don't have feet?
Okay.
So you say
There
yes
will
or
be
no?
a word for crawl in most languages because children crawl. And some animals crawl. Slither.
People actually don't even talk about snakes. You don't describe what a snake eats, whether it can see or not, whether it
People
can hear
don't
you
talk
or
about
not,
snakes
whether it
traditionally.
walks
No.
or flies.
People traditionally
People
don't talk about snakes.
Especially at night.
So
Eh,
describing anything that a snake does and
There's no
slithering
word
is
for it.
only a snake that slithers. So there's definitely no.
Do you hear stories of people talk about snake children? Children's snake.
What are the offspring of snakes called?
Snakins.
Actually, what are the snakes' offspring called?
Little snakes.
Mtoto wa nyoka.
Ni nyoka.
Nyoka.
Sheesh.
Okay, so it's 28-7. Let's take a break, a quick one. Take a look at the traffic, and then we will look at the newspaper headlines shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
3, 2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Heri Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalamia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
The baridi ni degree ngapi hapo?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
Is the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ when he slapped those guys wenye walikuwa wanauza mboga ndani ya kanisa took them to heaven.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, the free flow of traffic in most parts of the city this morning. That's what we're looking at. Jogger Road is not looking too bad. And coming off Mombasa Road, you'll get into the city without too much of a hiccup, at least not for now. There's increased movement then on Outer Ring and then going out towards the Thika Superhighway from the back end. You should be okay. Westlands looks good as it does right around Wangari Maathai, which had packed up really early yesterday. We'll keep an eye on things as we go along. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Ebu, let's talk about school fees. It's important.
It's very important.
Yes.
I know a lot of folks are right now digging and looking for it. So let's see what you need to do to be able to see if you get a chance to do so. Tin can. Go to your nearest supermarket today. Or even if it's far from you, who knows? Buy a can of the Tiwi Black shoe polish. Under the lid, there's a code. On top of the lid is another number. It's star 459 star 5 hash.
Say that again.
Star 459 star 5 hash.
Okay.
You will then send that code as you dial this number. Immediately, you will win airtime or bundles. You choose. You want bundles for set amount, airtime for set amount, you get it. You also then get a chance to enter into the draw to win 35,000 shillings that goes towards school fees for this new term. Step up and shine with Kiwi.
Very good. Very good. So what's on the headlines?
The worst drought in 40 years hits Kenyans hard. There's still a drought going on in the country. We had a conversation about this about 4 or 5 days ago. And we said, look, as all these conversations are still going on, there are still people who are suffering drought today. There's still people who are not able to eat or drink a cup of clean water. It's been going on for months. It still continues. And now the government is describing the drought situation as the worst in 40 years after insufficient short rains in 22 counties, as the Treasury warns that 2023 will be a bad year for the economy. Wololo. 4.5 million shillings is the number. 4.5 million is the number of people in dire need of relief food in Kenya. And we're going to be looking at that relief situation, but that's the number there. Reprieve for teachers as TSC transfers 4,000. And the rise of botched circumcisions, how quacks are hurting our boys. A lot of stories happening in the paper today, but we can start off with those.
Okay. Let's start off with that drought situation.
Okay.
It's a big one. And it's a good thing that the Standard has actually given this its prime of place.
It is.
Big headline on today's front page.
23 million people are at risk, right? 23 million people are at risk. We're looking at 22 plus some counties. But right now we're looking at 4 million people who need food today. This is not that maybe in a month they will need something. This is today they need food. Kenya's drought situation worsened after the rains failed and farms were invaded by the fall armyworm, leaving... So there was... What are those grasshoppers called?
Locusts.
Thank you. There were locusts. They came, they did their business. They went. The rains came, that whole thing left. They went back to where they came from. And now the fall armyworm has come and done its business and has left 4.5 million people in dire need of relief food, according to a December report by the National Drought Management Authority. The agency said delayed and poor rainfall distribution affected crop production in agricultural areas, further undermining the already fragile food security situation facing most households. According to Rebecca Miano, the Cabinet Secretary for the East Africa Community, ASOLs and Regional Development, in a press yesterday, the situation may slightly improve, especially on environmental indicators. However, the gains are projected to be short-lived as the country heads into the normal dry spell of January to March 2022-3. According to the NDMA, some 22 counties in arid and semi-arid lands are facing critical drought situation, while an estimated 960,000 children are staring at malnutrition, with cases recorded in Marsabit, Mandera, Garissa, Baringo and Isiolo counties. Out of the 23 counties, 9 regions, including Kilifi, Mandera, Marsabit, Samburu, Turkana, Wajir, Isiolo, Kitui and Kajiado, are in alarm drought phase, while 13 are in alert drought phase.
So those are the two phases.
So
there's alarm and alert.
Yes.
Alarm is kubaya.
Alarm is worse than alert for sure. These 13 counties are Garissa, Lamu, Narok, Tana River, Makwene, Tharaka Nithi, Baringo, Laikipia, Meru, Taita Taveta, West Pokot, Nyeri and Kwale. Only Embu County is currently classified in normal drought phase. The CS said the drought situation in Taita Taveta, Kwale, Garissa and Tana River counties has improved slightly to the light showers received during the last week of December. Miano said the government is doing everything it can through food relief, cash transfers, screening and treatment of malnutrition, water trucking and provision of livestock feeds to ensure that nobody dies during the drought. She said this is the worst drought in 4 decades. The impact would have been worse if these mitigation measures did not work. What we need to do is to scale up, refocus, and see what more we can do. Because of climate change, the drought is getting more frequent and severe, and we need to get more resilient and strong and have stronger long-term measures. Chief Executive of the NDMA, Harid Hassan, said the government has disbursed 1.4 billion shillings from September last year for the livestock takeoff program. According to him, the money has been spent on site slaughters where farmers sell their animals to the government through the Kenya Meat Commission. They say they're also trying to educate pastoralists on the need to dispose their dead animals as we give them an update on the drought situation. Yes.
Read that again.
We are also trying to educate the pastoralists on the need to dispose their dead animals as we give them an update on the drought situation.
Surely, is that what they ought to be telling us? Should there not have been a preventative measure? Because it isn't as though we went to bed and then we woke up this morning and there was a drought.
Okay, so those didn't work and the animals have died. To prevent spread of disease.
They need to dispose of them properly.
I understand that perfectly. I just don't want this particular story to be the main tale in this particular saga that is going on here.
It's interesting that you say that, because then the next is that Ms. Miano is denying claims that the government mitigation measures seem to have failed. She says that they're doing the best they can to mitigate the effects of drought and pivoting.
Remember, we are a new government.
Yeah, they're pivoting. They're using that
No,
new swanky...
it isn't a new government.
We're using that new swanky, sexy after COVID word, pivoting.
The government is the government. What we have is a new crop of political leaders who are now appointing some other people to new posts. Government is government.
She said that you people who have been saying they have failed, they're doing the best that they can. And they're pivoting.
Pivoting
on the long-term measures going forward. So now they're moving forward.
You know what I'm saying?
They're
Government
not
is
looking
government.
back.
This drought doesn't care whether you're the old government or whether you're the government that came in last night or the one is coming next week. It's been an ongoing problem since the previous government. And the bulk of the people who are civil servants in this country were in that government. They're still in this government.
There's a steering committee. Let me just help your cause a little bit more, CT. There's a steering committee. It's called Wakenya Tujilinde. It was an initiative to mobilize resources from the public to complement government efforts to mitigate the effects of drought. The CS has said, if not for this initiative by the president, that things would have even been worse. So you see, they're pivoting.
That new Harambee committee, by the way, it's headed by Safaricom boss.
It's called
Ndegwa.
Wakenya Tujilinde.
Yes, Wakenya Tujilinde Harambee for drought. What we need, which should be different from what the same people who are in this committee were doing with the COVID Harambee committee, is we need the weekly updates at the very least.
Tell us what's going on. What have you collected?
Tell
Where
us
did it
how
go?
much you're collecting. Mobilize. Keep reminding us that we can actually go into that pay bill and contribute, even if it's 10 bob. Okay? But what are they doing? So how much have they collected so far? Where is that money going? Are they the ones who are coordinating everything, even the money that's coming from development partners, donors? Rigathi Gachagua is a very good man. He's spending all the time begging. Since he became a deputy president, he's become a begging deputy president. He's now begging everybody for food for this country. It's very dehumanizing for him. But this Harambee committee of Mr. Ndegwa should tell us.
Let me tell you what they said so far. According to the CS, she said by December last year, the committee had distributed relief food to 14,300 households in 5 counties in the worst affected sub-counties. With regard to access to water, trekking distance... That's it.
That's what I say. Bwana Ndegwa, weekly updates.
To may collect 14.3 million shillings.
Yes,
8
this
million
is what
went
we are
to
doing.
This, 6 went to this, 400,000 went to this. This is how much is left in the bank.
Yeah,
That's what you
this
need to
is
tell
the
us.
essence of private sector. They're
Tell
coming in
us.
and you're showing us, we
the
are
last
able to
guys
organize,
botched
mobilize, move, blah, 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 blah. The previous committee, the Harambee for COVID, botched everything. We don't even know how much money
was
they collected,
how much was
they spent.
used, how much is left.
Yeah.
They botched it.
No, they bought some spacesuits. Remember?
They were buying spacesuits for the knee.
For COVID.
For COVID.
Yeah.
The ones which they now said expired, and we were asking how do those ones expire?
Not only that, do you remember the complaint from the health workers that what they were being provided for was of the lowest possible quality? Yes.
Sheesh.
Not even fit for use. It's one that you use and you discard.
But guys, this issue, this drought thing,
it's a
major. We can talk about it here, and we can inject some humor to diffuse a very difficult situation.
Yeah.
But it is bad.
Yep.
It is very, very bad. 1 million children on the brink of dying from malnutrition is not funny at all, because the domino effect that it has on other things, you can imagine. They're not going to school, they cannot eat, so schools don't run. Education then is a miss amongst them. And this is just the children. We've not talked about anything else. We've not talked about the farmers and the pastoralists who are losing their livelihood, who have lost their cattle, who've lost their heads over the last 1 year. Crazy.
Let me ask you this question. Malnutrition is spoken of as though you fail to have 1 meal a day.
No.
You fail
Compounded.
to have the nutrients that your body needs.
Yeah.
Not just to live and survive, but to flourish. Now, in children, it's worse. Because you will find that when a child is malnourished, all the basic functions of this human being that is involved in their processes of growing will be stunted.
Yep.
So this is a person who's going to be open to the vagaries of illness as they grow up.
Yep.
This is a person who is likely to have all these recurring illnesses which never seem to come to an end. They will not go. Their lives will.
Their life changes.
Yes.
And
it'll be permanent. And you are saying that this is something that is going to happen to these 4.3 million people, and the number will keep growing.
No.
1 million children.
It is not going to happen.
It's happening.
It is happening, as in today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask the question. How long have we had the drought in Kenya? How many years now?
This one has gone on for more than a year.
Yeah.
Precisely.
It was declared a national emergency by President Uhuru Kenyatta in 2021.
Yes, we're in 2023.
Yep.
Okay, which means by the time it was being declared a disaster,
It has already gone on.
Horrible.
Yes, it was horrible. It was moving. We could see it.
Yeah.
Now,
Yep. The deputy president will continue being a beggar for a while. But we all have to come together and actually just... By the time a child is getting malnourished, this is a small child. Can you imagine how many other people in that household have actually not gone without a meal?
Very many.
Because by the time you
can't feed
a child, you have not fed. You have not eaten yourself.
Yes.
This is what's happening to very many families.
And this is considered to be something that we simply pay lip service to.
Yeah, just say, we are doing the best we can. Yeah, we're doing this and that. Okay, no. Hiya. Have we talked to Uganda, by the way? They have food.
No.
So does Tanzania.
Yeah.
Yes, they're asking for help, so we can ask them.
So, there's a matter that's being taken to court. A battle over the multi-billion shilling insurance deal for police and prison officers has landed in court. Two petitioners are challenging the award of 8 billion shillings medical cover contract to a consortium of CIC General Insurance, Britam and Old Mutual. Crispino Nyango and Henry Shitanda, in their case before High Court Judge Hedwig Ongundi, argue that the National Police Service Commission and the Kenya Prison Service breached the law by abandoning NHIF for the private entities. According to the petitioners, the consortium has reduced the reimbursement from the previously issued 1,500 per person per visit to between 650 and 1,300. This has locked out most junior police officers of adequate health care. So basically, the issue of medical insurance for police and prisons officers is the one that's in contention here. The petitioners are saying NHIF should be the one that offers this service. Okay? Let police, the National Police Service Commission and the prison service make this contribution to NHIF. Let NHIF offer the insurance. Why not? Oh, it's been floated. It was a tender. And in fact, even the DP talked about it the other day. It was a tender. NHIF was not the lowest bidder. According to the Kenya's Procurement and Disposal Act, the lowest bidder wins the contract. We had to advertise it. And we did. Because we're following the law. We are law-abiding. We are good men. NHIF was not the lowest bidder. This consortium was.
So they went to court.
So now these guys have gone to court saying, no. We know this should have just been an automatic thing.
Why automatic?
Because it obviously goes to the lowest bidder. And they were the lowest.
No. They got their bid. These people are challenging the fact that this consortium has been given a contract.
But they were the lowest.
They want NHIF to have been given this contract.
Oh, I get it now.
Yes. They're saying NHIF, we're talking about universal health coverage. NHIF shall be the driver for UHC and all this and the other. And then you're taking government money that you pay police officers, and instead of now putting that into NHIF and helping to boost even the kitty that NHIF has, and NHIF has been doing it before, you're now taking it to the private sector. How do those two go hand in hand?
By the way, if you're looking at just the numbers of people involved, if I were them, I would also pitch this fit. Yes.
But anyway, I think there's a case to be made here. In terms of, we're talking about NHIF.
Government.
Your government.
It's clear.
Can NHIF offer this service? NHIF has been offering an enhanced cover for police officers. It's been there. It's been offering an enhanced cover for civil servants.
It's
been there.
It has. And there are people who will testify to having benefited immensely from it. People who have cancer, people who have some of these non-communicable diseases. NHIF has been their partner in ensuring that they allay the financial burdens of these ailments.
And giving NHIF this liquidity from covering all police officers in the country, you're actually giving it liquidity to be able to cover everybody else as we talk.
You and I are in agreement here. We're in agreement here because, you see, if you really want a government service to work like NHIF, the first port of call ought to be government agencies, government institutions, government departments supporting that particular program.
Yes.
It doesn't stop people from doing what? From getting insurance from these other private entities.
It almost seems like it should be obvious. And if it's not obvious, then somebody is doing something weird.
The good thing about this thing going to court, we are going to hear things that ordinarily we wouldn't have heard. Yes. Unless they decide to have this hearing in camera. Many other things will come up. So let's hold our breath and wait, shall we? There is this issue of the gentleman who passed away, one Edwin Rotich Kipto, otherwise known as Chiloba. Okay? The chief government pathologist, Johansen Oduor, had said the oxygen supply to key organs, including the brain, were compromised. So, according to the government pathologist, one Mr. Edwin Kiprotich Kipto died of asphyxiation. That's what killed him. And he says, according to there were rumors that his eyes had been gouged out. No such things. His eyes were intact. Completely intact.
But there were socks stuffed in his mouth and stuff like that.
They suffocated him. He was suffocated. Now, there's a little matter of, could he have fought back? Could he have resisted? So now they are now doing some chemical tests to determine whether he had been induced either with some drug or alcohol or whatever it is to show any sign of resistance. But he says injuries, the external injuries that may have indicated that he fought aren't there.
There are no external injuries.
No, they aren't there.
And there's no even mark of strangulation.
No.
It was stuffed into his mouth.
Yes,
couldn't breathe.
And then his nose was also covered. It's mouth and nose, so he could not breathe. It's as simple as that.
What?
But I think once they've done with this chemical analysis, we will hear more of the story. So as more comes up, we get to know more.
You get more?
Yes.
It's important. You have a story.
Poor hygiene to blame for cases of cut gone awry, according to experts now. There's this whole issue, and it's a special report in the Standard today, of circumcision having gone wrong in many cases. There are quite some. A rise in cases of botched circumcision among boys has raised concern among parents, with elders and medics now pointing and accusing finger at quacks. Several boys who were circumcised during the holidays are currently receiving medical treatment. And there are quite some actually that we've seen on socials and in other parts. While one boy has died while after undergoing the rite of passage. Late last month, a teenager who had just completed his Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examination died after falling sick in what doctors attributed to a lack of proper medical care after undergoing the traditional cut in Lelmoko, Nandi County. About 16 teenagers who had undergone the initiation rite in Uasin Gishu, Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet and Nandi counties were rushed to the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital following complications after circumcision. In mid-December, 2 boys who were circumcised in Eastleigh, Nairobi, were rushed to hospital for corrective surgery after another botched procedure. Yesterday, elders who spoke to the Standard from the North Rift wondered why cases of botched circumcision were rising, yet fewer incidents were reported in past years. Kalenjin Myot Council of Elders Chairman Major retired John Seyi said the environment where the traditional rites take place are contaminated, hence the need for specialized care. Decades ago, we had very few cases of initiates falling ill because circumcision was conducted in seclusion, mostly in forests. But today, it is happening in dusty and dirty environments which subject boys to infection. The elder said there were areas in his community where locals still preferred the services of traditional circumcisers even after many parents largely shifted to medical professionals. He said the rite of passage should not be moved to hospital theatres, proposing instead instead that the initiation process be conducted in the forest and expansive farms to allow elders to continue passing down knowledge of their culture to the younger generation.
Wow. You know, I was actually wondering, why is it that this story of unsafe circumcision has gotten such
traction?
Yeah, over the last couple of weeks. Why this particular season? Why not previous seasons?
I mean, are we seeing higher? And if what Major Say is saying
circumcision
here,
happens usually during the school holidays,
Yes, it
and
does.
mostly in the December holiday and the August holidays.
Mm.
Okay, so this particular December holiday, because
What happened?
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know. But 16 cases and one death is quite a high number in one season.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, there are individuals known as TBAs, traditional birth attendants.
Mm-hmm.
These are the women who, over time, have acquired the skills of helping mothers deliver at home. Now, healthcare experts over the time, and through research and through finding and through collaboration, determined that it was actually in their interest to work with the TBAs. Meaning, all the hiccups that were found, when you do this, there are these problems which may arise, say, okay, fine. Why don't we find a way of working with these people? Because they're trusted.
Yes. So if it's about retrain them.
Retrain them and also allow them into those health facilities. They do have skills.
Yeah.
Now, I have not heard this conversation with these traditional circumcisers.
This one is actually now doctors and the regulator for doctors saying all circumcision should just be taking place in health facilities.
That's good. Unfortunately...
But now hear what Major Say is saying. Actually, no. Have it in open spaces, in open farms or secluded areas within the forest, so that, the information can still be passed down.
Yeah.
But there was hygiene that was maintained
But
in
it's
those
known.
areas.
Yeah.
You see, I'm not talking about geography and I'm not talking about location.
Talking about
I'm talking collaboration. Yes.
I agree with you. Let me tell you the headlines in the Business Daily and the Nation. Quick, huh?
Yes.
Daily Nation headline, Ghost Workers Paradise in the Counties. Complicity 1. 25 governors promised staff audits within 2 weeks of assuming office to weed out ghost workers. Only 8 counties enforced the investigations that have revealed at least 4.3 billion shillings has been looted. 3. Senate dragging its feet on an investigation into the loss of over 35 billion since 2013. 4. Governors have ignored the order to file responses to a Senate committee probing the scam. So, so the governors were coming into, let's find out how many ghost workers, so how much, what is our potential? It was not that to weed out the ghost, it's just to find out what's the size of this market. Other headline, Silent War rocks Kenya Kwanza, and this one is said to be pitting the public war of words between Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and Governor Johnson Sakaja has been raging for some time. There have been signs of power struggle between the DP and the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi that just won't go away, and on and on and on. The other headline is parents and teachers are clashing over junior high school uniform. Apparently, your child is in this school. They have gone up to grade 6. They come back to the same school. They are going to grade 7. Change uniform. Now parents are like, wacheni
Stop
bwana.
it. You said we're not changing school, then you want to change the uniform. What is it?
But do the children want to change uniform? The children may want so that I can feel
I'm different. I'm now in high school.
Yes. A very good morning to you. Keep it here for more conversations. It's 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto has reiterated that his administration has freed the police office from political and influential people's control. Ruto, while presiding over Passat parade of AP officers, said that He had also made sure that this is possible through the transfer of the police budget to the Office of the Inspector General of Police. He said the police now have the freedom to make financial decisions.
We have liberated the police service from political and bureaucratic control by relocating the police budget from the Office of the President to the Office of the Inspector General. Without autonomy, the police service is vulnerable to weaponization, making it a threat instead of an asset to challenges in our security and law and order sectors.
The head of state further challenged police officers to familiarize themselves with technological trends in a bid to understand the evolving dynamics in the fight against crime. He noted that his government has invested in equipping security forces with the necessary technology to help them fight crime.
It is important for every police professional to rise to this challenge by acquiring insights to empower them in understanding complicated and sophisticated criminal and security threats, and skills that enable them work effectively with modern technology and modern equipment.
9 counties have been mapped by the government as being in the alarm drought phase, including Kilifi, Mandera, Marsabit, Samburu, Turkana, Wajir, Isiolo and Kajiado. EACSL's and Regional Development CS, Rebecca Miano, says they're conducting a multi-agency assessment of the 2022 short rain season to ascertain its impact on food security. She says the assessment will inform the scale of interventions the government will take to mitigate the drought situation in the country. Miano said that at least 4.35 million Kenyans are in dire need of relief food as the drought continues to bite, while 960 children are severely malnourished.
The priority interventions are informed by findings gathered by county steering groups. Interventions include relief food, cash transfers, screening and treatment for malnutrition. We have water tracking, provision of livestock feeds, and livestock offtake.
Now, an autopsy to find out what killed LGBTQ activist Edwin Kiprotich Lance Chiloba has revealed that he died of suffocation. Government pathologist Johnson Odor, after conducting the autopsy on the late Chiloba, also revealed that the activist's body had no physical injuries. Odor said although more tests would be performed to determine whether the late Chiloba was dragged prior to being suffocated, it's established that he died from lack of oxygen. He added that they discovered 3 pieces of socks stuffed in his mouth, cutting off his air supply, and a pair of denim pants covering his mouth and nose.
So pairs of socks which you saw inside the mouth. The body was cyanosed. Cyanosis means that this person was not getting enough oxygen to the body when he died. I didn't see any injury at all when I look at the body. When I open up the body, the brain was swollen, and swelling of the brain is seen in people who have what's called asphyxia. When you lack oxygen, which gets into your brain, it gets swollen. There are also injuries inside the mouth. We saw a lot of injuries inside the mouth and on the tongue. Other organs were normal other than being decomposed.
And more than 14,600 teachers who are affected by the delocalization policy are set to be transferred back to their home counties. Teacher Service Commission CEO Nancy Mashaida says only 120 teachers who had applied for transfers are yet to be transferred due to lack of replacement. A total of 14,733 teachers from across the country had submitted their applications for transfer to their local counties when TSC opened the window. Teachers affected will have their transfers effected by the Commission headquarters. And 4 police officers who are arrested for attempting to rob a man who works at a foreign exchange bureau in Nairobi CBD will remain in custody for 7 more days pending the conclusion of investigations. Sergeant Daniel Wambu and Constable Stanley Mohammed Gitong of DCI Kasarani, Corporal Eliud Bor attached to the United Nations office at Nairobi in Gigiri, as well as Nicholas Murira of Mugudha Police Station were intercepted in Muthaiga. Police say a businessman who runs a bureau along Mamangina Street had withdrawn 2 million shillings from a nearby bank in the company of his colleague at around 11 a.m. when Wambua, Gitonga and Bor approached them, purporting to arrest them for an offence they did not disclose. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Assetto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
All right, Jogoro traffic is heavy coming into the city, and we're looking at that then touching on Landis and out towards Kamkunji, quite heavy. Inbound traffic is already doing the thing, spilling over towards Lusaka. The southern bypass is looking pretty good right now. Not too much of an issue like we saw yesterday, so that's good. It's bumper to bumper now on the Thika Superhighway, heavy from that outer ring junction, and Kiambu Road has begun as well. Limuru Road is also quite busy, and we're looking at Wayaki Way well through to Westlands, out into the city. Heavy traffic has already begun. Traffic hour seems to have started earlier today. It looks like it'll end later. We'll keep an eye on things and hopefully, fingers crossed, that we won't have any incidents today. Yes, talk to us on SpiceFM, KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
Good morning and welcome to the second hour of the Situation Room. Happy Thursday. It's the second Thursday of 2023. And we are glad that you're tuned in. Did you know a lady called Naneu Mudoni? Naneu was going to be a fashion designer. The young and shy and beautiful go-getter had her life planned out until she met and fell in love with the wrong man. Her story opens a grim window into the world of a femicide victim in a country where a spate of crimes of passion is on the rise. Watch The Last Door by John Allan Namu every Sunday at 8 p.m., particularly this Sunday for that story of Naneu Mudoni, Maisha Magic Plus, DSTV channel 163 and GoTV channel 8. Pay your DSTV and GoTV subscription today and get a free upgrade on us to watch this particular show. This Sunday, it's the story of Naneu and how she met her death and The Last Door. Hiya. We'll be telling you more about school fees and how you can win school fees. CT Muga has the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra 14.6-inch screen. AMOLED protection. Aluminium-based protection.
Lady and gentlemen.
Keeps charge for 3 days.
Shield strength 39.4%.
There you
Hardness 33.3%. No. And the aluminium you're speaking of, it's called Armor Aluminium.
Armor Aluminium.
Yes. Not aluminium steel.
Armor Aluminium.
Yes.
Okay. There are people who call it aluminum.
Aluminum.
You know,
depending on where you're from.
The things
on which side of the pond do you reside?
The things that people do with words. Especially in this country. Right.
The proverb from Lesotho.
Yes, from Lesotho. Do not laugh at a snake because it walks on its belly. Say what you want to say, Eric.
No,
I can see the smoke on
I'm
your
looking
face.
at Ndu asking that question. Ndu, ask, because it's crossed your head again, your mind again.
Go ahead.
Do not laugh at a snake because it walks on its belly.
It walks on its belly.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm trying to imagine a human walking on its belly.
It's called crawling.
On its belly?
Yes. No.
Yeah, have you seen? No, honestly,
So,
you see,
if
babies and how they crawl is very. Some people scoot on some babies. Okay, now we're just
Now,
going left.
If
exactly.
If
babies scoot on their bums.
Yes, they do. If you are on your belly and you are making some forward movement, okay,
you're slithering like a snake.
That's walking.
It's called walking.
Oh wow. Okay.
No, maybe we need a referee here.
Oh, you know what I think it's trying to say? Just because you would assume that somebody walks with their feet, don't underestimate the power of this snake because it's on its belly.
Article 127(2)(c) of the Constitution
That's a lie.
recognizes
Snakes.
walking as any form of movement. The lawyer is here. Wakili. Wakili Ndegwa Njiro is a constitutional lawyer. He's here with us in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you. And Happy New Year to everyone.
Yes,
This is one of the hottest show that we can ever miss any morning when you're driving to work or when you're just seated in our comforts. It's a very insightful show. And it's a show that really gives a real situation in the situation room. Yeah.
You're very kind.
Now,
what I'm saying is, he said all this and we haven't paid him.
Can you imagine?
And now, when we pay him, what will he say?
Of course, I'll be putting my fee note across at the fullness of time.
Fee note. Fee notes.
Wakili, you are several things. You're a constitutional lawyer, but also you commented a lot on political issues and matters that are affecting the country.
Yes.
You've participated in political processes.
Yes.
Including political campaigns, including defending governors and county assembly at the Senate.
That's correct.
Because of impeachment proceedings.
Yes.
Sasa, let's talk about, a matter that you've been very passionate about lately.
Yeah.
And this is the politics of the country.
Yes.
Specific to the Mount Kenya region.
Exactly.
Now, first of all, tell City your name. Ndegwa Njiro.
Ndegwa Njiro. It's just a simple name that means a black bull.
Come on.
Okay, so
have it
which part of the Ndegwa Njiro is black and which one is bull?
Yeah, it's a bull that is black.
So the bull is Ndegwa?
Yes, the bull is Ndegwa. Njiro is black. You might choose to have it with horns or you may dehorn it.
So if you look at me, you can say I'm a Njiro person.
His name means, is it crocodile or hippo?
City.
Or Muga.
No, he's right.
Which one, crocodile or hippo? There's a difference.
Why don't you go to rhino so that we...
It's rhino.
You see, I have an uncle of mine.
Yes.
He shares your name. If the name hippo means, Muga means hippo.
No. Hippo is Rao.
For him is Nguo. Nguo means hippo. And the father is Njiro. So he says Nguo Njiro, a black hippo. And me, I'm Ndegwa Njiro, a black bull.
In the same family?
Yeah, it's the same family.
Telling you, it's animal farm.
You're from Kirinyaga County.
Yes, I'm from Kirinyaga County.
Now, that is one thing also that you know about Kirinyaga County.
This is animal
kingdom.
Yes.
Kirinyaga County is very, very passionate about animals. Very many people's names. Yes.
I think because of the influence of the Mount Kenya forest, the Mount Kenya National Park, and also the Moya National Park. I think that could have been the influence. That most of our parents spent quite some good time in the forest. The others who are also claiming to have been Mau Maus, and we know their origin. And of course, other than just making that claim, there is no any other attachment. Because I've tried even to look behind and researched slightly whether it is true the people who are now claiming to be real Mau Maus were actually Mau Maus. Because the real Mau Maus were actually seen in between 1990 to 1997, all the way to the clamor of the multi-party politics in Kenya, all the way to the promulgation of the new constitution. The real Mau Maus and the real children of the Mau Maus were seen. Where were these ones? I don't want to mention names. I don't think it is worth.
The children of Mau Mau span the entire country.
Yes, they span.
There are some that, were in the 90s. There are some now that are in the 2023s.
But there's no one who can claim to be more Mau Mau than the others.
There's
no one who should claim to be more Mau Mau than the others.
Eric,
we were all displaced. My family was displaced by the whites during the colonial period. So one cannot say that I am now the actual Mau Mau.
The black bull has a point. It's a very, very valid point.
Of course, he does have a point. It's only that he's isolating his point. He's playing a lawyer.
Actually, it's called emphasizing his point.
No, he's isolating the point and making it appear like the person who's claimed to be the son of Momo said, I am the only
the person whose name he will not mention.
Yes. I'm the only surviving son of Momo. No,
you see, the reason why that individual is purporting to be more Momo than the other is because he's trying to claim for legitimacy and relevancy in Mount Kenya region.
Has he really purported to be more Momo than the others? this?
Yes, he has.
How
He has,
so?
because he has projected himself as the only Mau Mau.
Black Bull, is that not more of an interpretation than a fact, really?
It's a fact.
It's an interpretation.
Because that idea of I being a Mau Mau has just originated. It has just attached. It has just germinated.
Do I hear you to be saying that if today I am sitting here and I decide I am also Mau Mau, is that the sort of thing that he has done?
Why did you become a Mau Mau today because you are just seated there and you are not before? You know, that's a question.
I see.
Why now?
Why not before?
Why do you now have to claim that title with a lot of zeal
But why
and
not?
passion? You
But why
see,
not?
the
If
real
it's
Mau
part of
Maus
your
are
life,
known by, the real Mau Maus are known by their conduct. Their conduct. That they believe in the fundamental principles of change. They believe in some fundamental principles of democracy. They believe in fundamental principles of the rule of law. Those are the actual, as rudimentary as they were. You know, the Kemadis and all those individuals, the Ocheng Onekos and all those guys. If you could try to look at them and juxtapose now the current self-claimed Mau Mau, and then you look on an apparent way, very obvious way, and you look at them and weigh them and assess them, you'll see where the weight will fall. The scale can never fall on that side of the person who is now claiming to be more Mau Mau than the others. It cannot. It will be a mistake. In fact, it's an insult to those people who believed in that particular cause. Because these individuals is not known to have a champion in a change. This person is known to have been one of those guys who have been in the forefront of oppressing the real children of Mau Maus. So he cannot actually claim it. It's an insult to them that believes and belongs to that particular category of individuals. And I can say this without any fear of contradiction.
Are you a child of Mau Mau?
Yes. Yes, my father, my mother, they were all in the concentration camps. You see, these individuals who come from, and allow me mention, because
please,
we have some few prejudices in Mount Kenya region, if you don't know.
Please proceed.
For example, those people who came from Madeira, we keep on saying that Madeira magedhomo, ini Madeira ya masomo.
Meaning?
Because of the influence of Tomotomo and the PCA's aspects, right? They came and settled there. So Madeira people were so much co-opted into the Western education, to an extent that when people were actually going to the forest, for them they were pursuing books. That is why you can see people like Gakara Wanjao, who are very renowned writers, originated from Madeira. And people in Madeira, because of that aspect of they appreciated and embraced the Western education. That's why we call them Madeira Magidhomo. So any person who comes from Madeira, and then you claim to be, and of course those guys who went to school, they were not Mau Maus, they were collaborators. That we must understand. They appreciated the Western way of life. Madeira Magidhomo. So when you now come and say, and you come from Madeira, that you are more Mau Mau than the others, and we know what those other guys did.
There are several things that you're doing, and
Yes.
I think let's not do that.
Yes.
One is saying that there are people who are claiming to be more Mau Mau than the others.
Exactly.
They have not said they're more Mau Mau than the others.
Yes.
Okay, now let's talk about Deputy President, for example, Rigathi
Yes.
Gachagua,
Yeah, of course, you've
who
mentioned,
has
I didn't
come
mention.
out openly to say,
Yes.
I am a son of Mau Mau.
Yes.
He basically just says that. It so happens that, we are giving examples. The Deputy President is from Madeira, is from Nyeri. He has said he's the son of Mau Mau. Has he said, I am the only son of Mau Mau? No. Has he said, I am more Mau Mau than others? No. Has he said, I am Mau Mau? No. He said, I'm a descendant of Mau Mau.
You guys, there is something you always call the story behind the story.
Yes.
So there is something behind that claim and proclamation. And that aspect
Do you
of
have
entitlement.
any information, Dego?
Not that I have any
that
information.
can contradict
Yes.
what the Deputy President is saying. He is the son of
Of course, noting that the people in Madeira collaborated.
Okay.
In
Do
the
you
aspect,
have any evidence that will show that Mr. Rigathi Gachagua
Yes.
is not the son of a Mau Mau
you
or
see-
descendant of
you see,
Mau Mau?
you see, they say if you see something that
Don't
looks
generalize
like a
because
duck,
people of Madeira,
walks like a
not
duck.
everybody in Madeira collaborated with the Wazungu.
That's true.
Uh-huh.
That's true. It is quite true. But you see, they say if you see something that looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, waits like a duck, it must be a duck.
No, it could be a goose.
It must be a duck. That's what they say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when I look at this duck, all the way from when you were fighting for multipartyism, and the kind of the way the duck was quacking then, and then I see how the duck is now quacking. It could be a goose, not a duck.
You know, there is something called conjecture.
Yes, conjecture, yes.
You, being a learned friend, you'd understand this better than most of us.
Yes, I do.
History has this tendency of morphing and changing with time, and with it comes the interpretation of it.
Yes.
And a lot of it also has to do with how it has been rewritten. Not written, rewritten.
Exactly.
Okay? Now, what I hear you to be saying is that the history of the Mau Mau has been rewritten. And it has been rewritten with a bias that doesn't serve the interests of people who actually fought that particular war.
Exactly.
Do I hear you correctly?
That is exactly the position.
And so if it's been rewritten, then it means that there are people you are claiming are placing themselves in a position where...
In high pedestals.
These guys are born to pick. But anyway, let's continue. You are saying...
Brings the issue right to the topic
Yes.
what we wanted to discuss today.
Yes.
The politics of Mount Kenya.
Yeah,
Richard.
the politics of Mount Kenya.
So Mount Kenya has, if we look at the last 3 decades,
Yes.
has had very influential leaders who people have galvanized around.
Yes.
Okay, so let's even go back. Let's start with the 90s, the multi-party.
Exactly.
So we had Matiba. Okay, we had Kibaki. We've had Uhuru. We've had other leaders also who basically have been working with those main ones.
Yes.
There's been this conversation now with the exit of Uhuru Kenyatta from government, from mainstream politics.
Yes.
Is Mount Kenya looking for a new kingpin? Are people positioning themselves to become the new kingpins of Mount Kenya? And we've seen all these leaders from the region. We've seen the Attorney General Justin Muturi. We've seen the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. We've seen people like the governor, for example, of Murang'a County, the former governor of Murang'a, presidential hopeful, Mwangi wa Iria, and others.
Yes.
What's the fate of Mount Kenya in politics?
I think if we were to do justice to this topic, it would be prudent for us to have an analysis of all those individuals that you have mentioned. Speak of someone like Kenneth Matiba the late, and God rest his soul. Speak of people like Charles Robia. Speak of all those individuals. Speak of people like the late President Mwai Kibaki. Speak of people like the retired President Uhuru Kenyatta. These are individuals who have grown from the grassroots. The individuals people have identified and said that these guys, they can be our leaders. If you look at the way Uhuru Kenyatta was grown, he was groomed, and he ended up being a president, and then you compare to how Mr. Rigathi is being has grown, you'll of course say that Mr. Rigathi belongs to the class of the grafting. He was grafted. He's a grafted leader. You know the way you graft a mango with a with another mango.
Banana. GMO in the making.
It's as a result of grafting.
Mango.
And you know, these you have to look at the species. Of what you are grafting. If you go and graft a mango and a banana, certainly I do not think that the genetic aspects will actually marry. You'll have what they're now propagating, what she's calling the GMO. So Mr. Gachagua is a GMO product. He's a GMO politician. And that's why you can see he's struggling to assert himself as a kingpin. Kingpins don't assert themselves.
They organically?
They organically grow. And people appreciate them, and people identify with them.
Who's grafting him?
He was grafted by Mr. William Ruto.
How?
For purposes of trying to show the Mount Kenya region that they are represented in government. Remember...
How was he grafted?
He was grafted for purpose... It was a fictitious grafting for political motive and political purposes and political processes. In the sense that, if you remember to the run-up to his appointment... There was a contestation between him and Professor Kindiki, a man that I have a lot of respect for. And God forbid that he never became. You see, at the instance, Mr. William Ruto had already identified the person who ought to be the deputy president of this country. But I have no ability to confirm this, that Mr. Gachagua asserted and forced himself into the process. Remember, Mr. Gachagua, the votes from Mount Kenya would still have gone to William Ruto, with or without Mr. Gachagua.
Okay. Wakili, you've contradicted yourself.
Yes.
You've said that William Ruto had identified Professor Kindiki as the person.
Yes.
But then Rigathi Gachagua
forced himself into the system.
So then Rigathi was not grafted.
You see, the reason why the grafting is not at that particular time when he was forcing himself. The grafting I'm speaking about is now when he speak about him being the kingpin of Mount Kenya region. Meaning that my idea is that he has not come from the grassroots. He's not a grassroots leader who has been grown from the grassroots as Kibaki, as Matiba was, Charles Rubia was, as Uhuru Kenyatta was. So he's trying to coronate himself. He's trying to enthrone himself to that particular aspect.
Is there any leader currently in Mount Kenya who is a grassroots leader who then would say would fit that bill?
If you remember what happened to Uhuru Kenyatta before, in his preparation to become the president, there are some wazees who met. They call them wazee wa Kiama. And they gave him something called modegi. This modegi is a staff. It is a symbol of leadership in Mount Kenya region. And you don't ask for it. No leader is supposed to ask for that modegi. It's given to you after serious evaluation by wazees. But what you can see what Mr. Gachagua is doing is actually saying, give me the modegi. That modegi, when it is already being held by another Mudhuri is a mzee in Mount Kenya region, you cannot have another Mudhuri asking for it until it is passed over to you. So the person who is going to pass this mantle of leadership to Mr. Gachagua is Uhuru Kenyatta, the person whom he does not want to see eye to eye. So unless that is done, even if they go somewhere the way they did the other time round and they give him the Mudhegi, there cannot be two Mudhegis in Mount Kenya region. It's only one. And the Mudhegi would give an example of the one that Moses was given when he was going to lead the children of Israel from Egypt.
Okay.
Is akin to that stuff. It can't be held by two individuals at the same time.
Okay, so there's a lot of jostling for this position, and let me just take a few steps back and then ask a question which might seem as though it's a simple question. However, I think Justin Muturi at some point was even coronated.
Yes.
He went somewhere, people did things, said things, and then the question was, who then gave him the right to do so? And this was asked by other would-be leaders.
Yes.
And then there was always the unsaid that it was Uhuru Kenyatta. There's now the deputy president who, also seems to be jostling for that space.
Yes, claiming.
Right. The people over whom this leadership is going to be pronounced, what do they feel, one? And two, why is it so important to have somebody to shepherd the people of Mount Kenya? Do they feel that they still need to be shepherded in this manner?
And I would begin by answering your last question. Do we need to be shepherded? Do we need to be protected? You see, this idea of people thinking that Mount Kenya region is so delicate, it must be protected, is a toxic idea. It's an idea that is being propagated by those individuals who want to benefit from it. And I would not shy off to say Mr. Gachagua. Mr. Gachagua is trying to instill fear in Mount Kenya region that if Mr. Gachagua is not there, Mount Kenya region will cease to exist. Mount Kenya region was able to survive the most hostile environment of the Mzungu era. And many other eras, Mount Kenya region was able to survive. So Mr. Gachagua, for his survival, he must instill fear in Mount Kenya region that unless I am there, you guys are doomed.
But let's take a few steps back, even before the deputy president, and we saw all of this hoo-ha about whether even before that, this delicacy that you speak of still existed. There was always the talk of Mount Kenya, the kingpin is this. Uhuru Kenyatta might be losing his grip on the mountain.
Yes.
And then we have Justin Muturi then, who was coronated. So even before the talk of the deputy president, there was still this urge and push to have somebody there. And that's the question I'm asking. Why?
Of course, I've said this for purpose of political expediency. It has been projected, something that needs some empirical test whether really the Mount Kenya region is currently leading in the economics of aspects of this country. And then they are told, if you don't have one of your own, those economic engagement that you engage with, that entrepreneurship that you have, that industrial aspect that you have, will be crumbled down by the system. So in fear of that, they coalesce around an individual. And that's why you can see Mr. Gachagua is using the Sakaja issue of the Matatu as an entry point to appear as if he's the only person who can protect the Kikuyu. I keep on saying, if we have a working democracy, if we have a working institutions, we don't need individuals to protect a community. Because the institutions and the rule of law that has been created or that is in existence will be able to protect those processes. So, in my view, the aspect of the need to have the leaders of Mount Kenya region coming up with the kingpin is for political expediency purposely. And he's trying to position himself for 2027. Remember, Mr. Gachagua is not the deputy president because he was relevant in Mount Kenya region. He was not politically relevant.
Really?
Even currently, is not politically relevant.
Why do you say that?
Simply because the votes that William got were not brought by him.
How do you know?
If you look at what happened, William was struggling between Mr. Gachagua and Professor Kindiki. That means, if he chose Professor Kindiki, he would still have won the Mount Kenya votes.
How do you know?
Reason being, William had sought for these votes way before. He had adhered himself to the people through the process of propagating misinformation and fear for Uhuru Kenyatta.
Simple question then.
Yes.
So why did the president have to pick somebody from Mount Kenya? He could have then picked a deputy from anywhere.
Yeah, because of that idea of Mount Kenya, people wanting to feel that we are in government, we are protected. What happens to other communities that are not in government? Who will protect them?
So even if William Ruto had picked Ndegwa Njiro as his running
he would
mate,
still have got the votes.
He'd still have gotten the votes that
he
he
would
got.
still have gotten the votes. Remember, William Ruto got the Mount Kenya votes. Again, not because people loved him so much, but because he had instilled fear of the administration that was there then. He had instilled fear and hate for President Kenyatta. So it was a vote against President Kenyatta. It was not a vote for William Ruto. And you'll see it happening in 2027. Utatafuta hizo kura nasema alizipata zikose. Because at that particular time, the Kenyatta fact will not be there.
Were you projecting a William Ruto win, particularly in Mount Kenya, before the election? You as Ndegwa Njiro?
Yes, but dynamics did change slightly. William Ruto had gone to Mount Kenya region quite early. He had, of course, misinformed people the way he did. He endeared himself to the people, and people fell in love with them. And I know he must be telling you about Romeo and Juliet. It was a Romeo and Juliet situation in Mount Kenya region. Yes.
Let's take a break. Let's take a minute-made break. It is 27 minutes to 8. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. What we need is to take breaks during the day. When you hear some tough talking like this from constitutional lawyer and political analyst Ndegwa Njiro, you say, Ndu? Yeah. And you take a sip of Minute Maids. That's what you need to energize your day. We'll be back shortly. This is a Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Behind every crime and murder, there's a reason and a motive. Some dark, some simple, and some unbelievably terrifying. But truth is, no one really knows what happens behind closed doors. Well, until now. I, John Allen Namu, will be opening the last door to reveal the truth behind the nation's most infamous criminal happenings in a new true crime documentary called The Last Door on Maisha Magic Plus DSTV channel 163 and GoTV channel 8. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. as we look into the heart of crime and sieve rumor from truth. Dial *423# to get or stay connected to DSTV or GoTV.
Sleepwalking through the afternoon. Sleepwalking through the afternoon. Sleepwalking through the afternoon.
Don't live life on repeat. Enjoy your break moments with Minute Maid Delight.
A treat that awakens your senses and fills you with vitality. So fill those break moments with the indulgent sensations of Minute Maid, featuring delicious mango, tropical and apple flavors. Minute Maid, filled with life.
The sun is up in Nairobi at 16, highs of 26, and we'll see highs of 28. In a sunny Nakuru, it's 10 degrees and cloudy. In Nyeri, highs of 25, and we'll see highs of 24. In a cloudy Eldoret at 10. 27 and cloudy in Mombasa, and 27 and cloudy in Malindi. 20 and cloudy in Kisumu, and we'll see mostly cloudy conditions at 18 in Kakamega. Cloudy conditions leading to rain in Kampala at 19, highs of 26, and we'll see highs of 32 in a cloudy Dar es Salaam. It's 16 and cloudy in Johannesburg, highs of 29, and we'll see highs of 34 in a clear Lagos at 25. It's 25 and cloudy in Kinshasa, highs of 28 and lows of 22.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life.
Traffic hour proper, and we're looking at heavy traffic on the Thika Superhighway inbound and a little bit outbound, all the way through well past Safari Park now and heading out towards just past Kasarani, heading out towards that roundabout, way past Clayworks as well, beyond into Kiambu County, slowly moving into the city. And we're looking at traffic in the whole Parklands, Westlands area, coming out of Lavington into Mzima Springs and then out towards James Gishuru. That continues with traffic. We're going to spill over from Wayaki Way out into the city. Kiambu County on Westland side, Kiambu County on Ridgeway side. It's crazy this morning. And we're also looking at traffic coming off Mombasa Road a little bit here and there. From Lolongo heading out towards Imara at the Drift and coming off Jogo Road as well. It's a busy morning and it has started now, but it's not, too neck breaking. Not for now, at least. Keep an eye on things, guys. Let us know what's happening where you are. Want to keep things moving this morning? Talk to us on SpiceFM, KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Eric Latif, CT Muga, Ndu Oko, and Ndego Njiro, constitutional lawyer and political analyst. We are talking about Mount Kenya politics, the emergence of kingpins, or is there? CT.
Yes, please.
A question for Ndego.
Everything that the Black Bull has spoken of, in my mind, crystallizes what one could refer to as Kenyan politics. What is referring to as grafting, whether he's calling up appointments. If you look at our history, everything that he has spoken of is not new. It's happened before. So then comes the question, are we then saying, if we were to agree with you, that there's something fundamentally wrong with our politics?
Certainly, yes. There's certainly something very, very wrong with our politics. And we thought we would correct those anomalies with the promulgation of the new constitution. Because the new constitution has given the foundation of how a state or a nation should be founded. It has given the foundation of building a new nation. But unfortunately, we dropped the ball to the extent that we are not able to implement and realize the fruits of the new constitution as contemplated. For example, Kenyans give unto themselves a very important article in the constitution, which is called Article 10, which speaks about the values and the principles of governance in this country. Remember, it's the first time a country is saying that these are the values of governance. For example, they speak about transparency. It speaks about the accountability. It speaks about the participation of the people. It speaks about democracy. It speaks about the respect of human rights. It speaks about equality. So if we were to look at those principles about equality, the rule of law, and all those principles I've mentioned, it meant that an individual like Mount Kenya region would feel comfortable with whoever is the president, whether they're in government or they're not in government, because they know that the rule of law will be respected. Let's, for example, take the Sakaja issue about the Matatu. Sakaja is saying we want to organize the city. We want to have this city reclaim its lost glory. But the question is, can it reclaim the lost glory in the current status? The answer is no. So when he says, I want to organize a city, a purported Mount Kenya kingpin comes and says, oh, you know what? Those matatus belongs to Mount Kenya people. These Mount Kenya people voted for you. I mobilized them. So we lose the idea of reorganizing the city so the city can match up with other growing cities in the world, just because a particular community is feeling like it's being pursued for the wrong reasons, and because the particular community wants to hold this governor hostage, that you cannot do any change without us. You know, they have become the city fathers. So you see, if there was that comfort that the rule of law will prevail at any given time, and there will be transparency in the manner in which things are done, we do not need the kingpin.
Maybe it's
so there is
showing.
all wrong. Yes?
Maybe it's showing actually it's not wrong. It's people exercising Article 10 of the Constitution.
They cannot exercise Article 10
it
in
is
exclusion.
expected that, there will be public participation. This is the public participating.
But you see, the reason why Sakaja is losing the debate is not because that people have not been involved. He's losing the debate because a tribal card has been pulled. A tribal card has been shown that if you joke around with us, 2027, you, Mr. Sakaja, tutakuonyesha red card. So what happens?
But then that begs the question. Are we then saying, or are we saying, if I'm to interpret what you're saying,
yes,
that what the Deputy President seemed to have been saying, that without the vote that I am speaking of, you would not have been governor. But is that true?
Sorry?
Is that true?
It's not true. Because we do not know how many votes that Sakaja got from the Kikuyu. Nairobi is not owned by the Kikuyus. We are all here. By the way, those so-called Kikuyus don't consider Kirinyaga people as Kikuyus, eh?
They don't?
They don't consider us as Kikuyus, eh?
What do they consider you as?
As Mokirinyaga.
Oh.
So when I say that we are all here, Mr. Omuga,
Yes.
you who is not a Kikuyu, we're in the same bracket, eh? That we actually voted for Sakaja. So now the question is, when the Deputy President, or when Mr. Rigathi Gachagua says that Gachagua was voted in by the Kikuyus, how about Sakaja? How about the votes that came from other communities? Why are you alienating them? Why are you defranchising them? Why are you projecting yourself as the only person who can make the determination of who becomes what? That if you want to become a president, go to the Kikuyu region. If you want to become a governor, go to the Kikuyu region.
But you're being very selective here.
No, I'm not being selective. We are discussing Mount Kenya region.
We are also talking about what City asked about our brand of politics.
Yes.
It's Kenyan politics.
It's toxic.
So when we talk about Kenyan politics being that way, Kenyan politics, we look at regional voting blocks,
yes,
and tribal blocks.
Yes.
The politics of Nairobi, everybody knows that's how you look at it.
Yes.
Why was Igathe picking Professor Kaloki? Why was Sakaja picking Mushiri as deputy? All those dynamics are in play.
They are.
It is looking at the communities and the numbers of the communities.
Yeah, because we have refused to move. We have refused to move from when this nation was founded. We have refused completely to have a paradigm shift. Remember, this nation was also founded on those principles of divide and rule. It's the same principle that is happening today. You divide them and you rule them. You show the other. You show or you project one community as the one that is determinant when it becomes a question of who becomes the president, who becomes the governor of the city. And then you alienate the other communities. It's a completely Mzungu way of ruling. That is why.
But Wakili, there's something that has happened in this great city county of ours of Nairobi.
Yes.
That is unique.
Yes.
And it's unique in this sense. We've had two governors. One, Mr. Mike Mbuvi Sonko, and now Sakaja.
Yes.
Who one could argue straddle across these so-called tribal lines quite easily.
Yes.
These are people who, if you look at the response that the voter had, no one was very concerned about where they come from.
No.
They were concerned about the individual.
Yes.
So I am saying that at some level, we have moved. That's really what I'm trying to say.
But you see now, we cannot say to have moved City, sorry.
Yes.
Because Mr. Gachagua says, had it not been for me, who brought
Mr.
Mr.
Gachagua wasn't moved.
My Kikuyu votes.
No. It's him who hasn't moved. You see, there is a reality I think the Deputy President is actually presenting.
Yes.
we do vote along tribal lines. It's how does one choose an area in which they wish to contest a seat?
Yes.
You look at the community from which you come from.
That's correct.
And then you look at the community that is nestled in that particular area.
That's correct.
And you have a chance. I don't think it's negative.
Yes.
You know, if you look at the West, the blue, the red.
I agree.
I think you've understood my point.
But you see now,
Yes.
the difference between the red and the blue in the West is that they do not allow those red and blue things go beyond the election.
No, they do.
Us, we have allowed them to go beyond the election to an extent that when we deal with a development issue like it is, we'll still go back to our political cocoons. How will this affect the Kikuyus? How will this policy affect the Kikuyus?
But let me
How
ask
will
you
this
a
policy
question.
affect a particular community?
Okay.
Voting interest.
Okay, let me ask
People
the question.
vote
But the
because
question
of
is,
interest.
when shall we break away from this?
Okay,
But those are the
question.
interests.
Let me ask the question, okay? If I look at the history of this country, not from 1960, I'm not going to go that far.
Yes.
I'm going to go to 2007 and what happened in the Rift Valley.
Yes.
Would you then not say that if somebody comes from what we call the Mount Kenya region and they speak about security for the Kikuyu, that they have a valid point that they're trying
They
to
have a valid point. Because
now, it could also be abused, but they have a valid point.
It has.
Don't
they? They have.
Now, I am going to take this discussion now to the BBI.
Yes.
There was a big hoo-ha about the 40 constituencies that the Mount Kenya region was proposed to get.
Yes.
And again, it was based on population. It wasn't random. There was logic.
There's a constitutional principle behind it.
There was logic, very sound logic behind it.
Yes.
But behind it all, again, there was the understanding that this would work well if we had a parliamentary system.
Yes.
Now, with the parliamentary system, it means if your region gets 40 constituencies, it means
we have the number.
Whoever wants to be in power has to talk to you. It does not matter what they do.
And that's the tragedy of politics and democracy. That numbers will always count.
Numbers will always count, yes, but not always. Because with democracy, then comes in the idea of coalitions.
Yes.
And that is what now makes our politics even more interesting, if I may say so.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Experience teaches people certain things and they align themselves to any action thereafter based on that experience. Mau taught the people of the Mount Kenya region something.
Yes.
And a lot of what is being done is as a result of that.
Of that lessons that we learned.
Yes. 2007 was a reminder. Now, all I'm saying is sometimes it may be unpalatable in the manner in which it is said, but the logic behind the statements and the positions that some politicians take, if we consider the selfish nature of our politics and the individuals involved therein, you would say you cannot just, I think, push that whole matter aside and say that, honestly speaking, this person doesn't really have a point.
Again, I'll go to the reason why we had to enact the new constitution.
Yes.
And the history that preceded the new constitution.
Yes.
We were a tribal nation, and of course I even think now we are. But we were looking at how we could have a cohesive nation, a nation that is so unified, in the sense that I do not look at you from where you come from. I look at you from what you can do. Just like Martin Luther said that we do not judge you by the content, by the skin of your color, but your content. So I think we need to have that debate, and that's why I said the whole process aborted before maturity, in the sense that the new constitution was not able to realize its purpose. That's why you can see today we have abandoned the whole aspect of unification. Remember, if you look at Article 134 of the Constitution, it speaks that the president is a symbol of national unity. So when you elect the president, irrespective of the political party or the region that he comes from, one of the major objectives is to unify the country. In the unification of the country, he is not supposed to have any political biases or prejudices that this community did not vote for me, this one voted for me. And when you speak about the presidency, you're speaking about the deputy president, and you're speaking also about the president himself.
Because we have a presidency.
Because that's a presidency. So the whole major aspect is they unify this country. So when somebody comes in the name of fighting for his community, and he repeatedly says, I am here to fight for my community, the question is, are you achieving that objective of unifying this country. And then that also begs the question is, how do we move towards the unification of this country? Are the politics that we play today assisting or aiding in the process of realizing that dream of a unified country? And of course, the answer is no. Because of the issues that you have highlighted, the question of pre- and post-election coalitions, the question of the balance of the votes and the need to win by the majority of the votes, those are some of the reasons that are making us not achieve that agenda. And you can realize, just because you have mentioned the BBI was geared towards assisting us realize that dream. Because a country cannot be unified if there is a particular community that feels defranchised in the sense that their votes don't count. A country will not be unified if the results that are coming from the elections will not yield the intended results of representation. For example, it's a fact, undisputed fact, that in Mount Kenya region, during the Andrew Gale Commission, there were some issues that happened that should not have happened that way. When he was given the responsibility of allocating the extra 80 constituencies, if you so remember, he was supposed to be guided by the formula of the population quota.
Yep.
He completely avoided that formula of the population quota. That's why you can see today we have imbalances of representation in Mount Kenya region. And it's a fact, because we want to move together as a unified nation. And I keep on saying electoral injustice is not just a question of my votes were not properly counted. Electoral injustice will also mean that my vote did not yield the intended results of equitable and equal representation. That's an argument I've always put forward. So for us to be able to move forward as a unified nation, we must first of all go back to the drawing board. We ask ourselves, what is it that is so much pertinent to the Mount Kenya region? What is it that's so pertinent to the Western region? What is it that they so feel they need to have this country to be done to them, so they can feel like they're part and parcel of this country?
So what is it? And that was my question initially, that the people of the Mount Kenya region, who are so often talked of as though they don't really know what they want and they need somebody who needs to come and then shepherd and lead them. But if you look at the time of fighting...
Would you can just repeat that again?
They're spoken of as though they don't know what they want, as though they don't know what they need.
Yes.
And
that somebody, they do. Somebody comes and says, well, I am the kingpin. Another one comes and says, actually, no, it's me.
You see?
And these are a group of people who are level-headed thinking, one can only assume. Look at the time around independence. People coalesced around an idea.
Yes.
The people knew exactly what they wanted.
Yes.
They
freedom.
sought freedom, and they were ready to surround an individual who was going to fight for them.
Yes.
Today, you mean to tell me that the same people cannot converge around an idea, and that there are people who need to mushroom from here, say one thing today, somebody comes and says one thing tomorrow, and we keep oscillating around this idea that Mount Kenya this, Mount Kenya that. What do the people want? And that's the question.
Simple.
Because if we're talking about unification of a country, each region now needs to feel that they're well represented, and that they're unequivocally represented. What do they want?
You see, that's a very interesting question. And Mark, you must understand that the word freedom has now been abused and misapplied. The freedom we spoke about during those days is not the freedom that we are now experiencing, or this freedom that was now being spoken about. You must be able to distinguish that. That the current freedom that people speak about, that freedom has now come, was a self-gratifying freedom that was meant to make sure that cases are dropped in court, you are acquitted of the criminal offenses, the money that had been taken by the asset recovery is returned to you. That is the individual freedom that we're talking about. The freedom of the mind is the one that we need to have. Because if we have the freedom of the mind, we'll not think that we need a kingpin to come and argue our case. To the extent that we have not been emancipated in terms of where we are in our mind, we'll always be enslaved, and we will not know what we want. Because currently,
Are you saying the people of Mount Kenya don't know what
they don't know?
Really?
We don't know what we want.
And
we don't know whether we want the kingpin, whether we want the economy, whether we want it from the bottom or from the up. We do not know. Simply because these people want us to remain in that situation where we cannot have a common agenda. For example, you've heard them making proposals to amend the constitution. And to them, the most important thing is about the issue of the position for the leader of opposition. You've heard him saying that he wants the ministers to go to parliament. I'll bet the impossibility in it. But I don't blame the president. You know, he never, first of all, appreciated the constitution. And I'm very likely to think and invite to think that the president must have sworn with a document that he has not read the constitution. Allow me to digress slightly. He must have been sworn in with a document that he does not believe in, and he has never read it.
Why do you say that?
Allow me just to mention slightly
you
the
really
question.
Think that...
Yes, I will, and I'll even ask him to look at his memorandum to the parliament dated the 9th of August, the 9th of December.
Why?
If you look at that memorandum, he made a very a proposal.
Yes.
That the office of the leader of opposition be anchored under Chapter 9 and Part 4 of the Constitution.
However,
Chapter 9 deals exclusively with the establishment of the executive arm of government. Because each arm of government, the judiciary, the parliament, and the executive, they have each has its independent and elaborate chapter. Then he says, anchor this office of the leader of opposition under Part 4. Part 4 is a part that establishes the executive offices, the office of the DPP, the office of the Auditor General, the office of the Attorney General, and all those offices.
And the office of the leader of opposition doesn't fall into that group.
It cannot be anchored there.
Okay, so where should it be anchored?
It should be anchored in where we have the people's representation in Parliament. That chapter that deals with the question of...
I think it's very clever of the Deputy
representation.
President. He is trying to avoid a referendum. If you go anywhere else where you are tankering,
and you're right,
tankering with the structure of the executive,
and
or the structure of the legislature, then you are saying
you're so right. He's not even trying to avoid. If you look at that memorandum, he has advised Parliament, please avoid. Actually, unequivocally, he has said avoid any route that will lead us to
a long protracted.
Yes, it's very specific.
Referendum.
It's very specific.
So we are sorting up. It's a political.
You cannot sort out this political mess without involving the people, and that's why I'm telling you, he never read this document.
No,
he has not appreciated it.
He's sorting out a political issue. How can we quickly?
What shall we do?
How can we quickly sort out this issue? If we had the person who was running it, if we had Raila appointed under that structure and he goes to Parliament.
Yes.
So you have sorted out a political issue.
But again, the question is, whom will he be representing in the Parliament? The executive or the people? Look at what he has done. Look at what President William Ruto has done. He has appointed a specific permanent secretary to be a link between the executive and the legislature. These are PS for that particular purpose. And then you ask yourself, when you come and say that there will be a PS for Parliament, how will they have an interface?
Has he abrogated the Constitution?
Of course. William has amended the Constitution by deeds. As we speak, the Constitution has been abrogated. It has been suspended. It has been amended.
These are major things you're saying, Wakili.
Yes, they are major things because...
We'll come again.
And I will actually say that. For example...
will come again.
For example, look at even the issues of the Hustlers Funds.
Black Bull, we've run out of time.
Oh, man.
You will come again.
We are going to invite you again.
You will come again.
We need to finish up that topic.
Yes, this is part one.
But allow me just to tell the people of Mount Kenya region, they should not be hoodwinked. Let them claim for the liberation of their mind. We do not need a kingpin to come and argue our case. If there is a problem with the matatu industry in Mount Kenya, in Nairobi, it affects every community and not Mount Kenya region. Okay. I have heard them saying, as I finish...
Well said. So said by the same man who said there's one Mudhegi already in the community.
Yes, there is no Mudhegi.
Now you're saying we don't need a Mudhegi in the community.
Yes. Okay. Sawa.
This is the Situation Room. Thank you very much, Ndegwa Njiro, constitutional lawyer and political analyst. Join us again soon. Keep it here for more. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Professor Njuguna Ndung'u is warning you to brace yourself for tough times ahead, saying the country's financial crisis is rising to unimaginable levels. Speaking during the public hearing of the budget-making process that brought together stakeholders from different sectors, including representatives from the executive and the legislature, the Treasury boss also called for austerity measures in the ministries, including the suspension of any new development projects. Prices of commodities and particularly household goods continue to be the government's headache, with President William Ruto insisting that subsidy programs that existed before plunged the country into financial headwinds. The Exchequer is now turning its energy to tax collection to boost the revenue figures. And Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi has assured tea farmers that the government is putting in place necessary measures to improve their output and earnings. Speaking during a consultative meeting with the Kenya Tea Development Agency Board of Directors in Nairobi, Linturi expressed his ministry's commitment to working with them. He explained that plans to improve productivity in the sector have been rolled out, among them the provision of subsidized fertilizer to farmers, the establishment of orthodox tea lines, and value addition of common use of facilities. And Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga held a meeting with British High Commissioner to Kenya Jane Marriott. Raila was accompanied to the meeting with UK's top diplomat in Nairobi by his deputy Wycliffe Oparanya, Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni, and National Assembly Minority Whip Junet Mohammed. The presence of Oparanya, Kioni, and Mohammed indicates the country's political affairs might have taken center stage in the deliberations. Details about the encounter remained scanty, but Raila further indicated they had agreed to consult on a regular basis to discuss matters of national and mutual interest. Marriott expressed pleasure at meeting Raila, whom she described as a historic leader who has played a vital role in deepening Kenya's democracy. Now, the joint United Nations program on HIV/AIDS, United Nations AIDS, UNAIDS, has pledged to continue its collaboration with the Kenyan government through the National Syndemic Disease Control Council in ensuring universal access to HIV prevention, treatment and care. UNAIDS Country Director Dr. Medin Sehau and Cabinet Secretary for Health Dr. Susan Nahumicha agreed to strengthen the partnership between UNAIDS and NSDCC as part of global efforts to end AIDS as a public health threat. This, as CS Nahumicha hosted the Council of St. John Priory of Kenya, led by the chairperson Paul Ndungu and CEO Haron Gikeria. The CS said the Ministry of Health will continue facilitating training of volunteers from St. John on community health before co-opting them into CHVs, support St. John in replenishing emergency stock across their various rescue centers, and examining and certifying St. John trainees undertaking EMT. Now, a Form 4 student from Kamunda Secondary School in Awendo, Migori County, has been arrested for allegedly faking his own abduction and demanding 20,000 shillings ransom from his mother. 22-year-old Joseph Odhiambo was frog-marched to Awendo police station by his mother after admitting that his alleged kidnapping was nothing but a ruse. Odhiambo claimed to have been abducted by unknown individuals on January 5th before showing up at his mother's doorstep on January 9th clad in blood-stained clothes. Upon questioning by police, Odhiambo admitted to having sent numerous texts to his mother demanding the said ransom, which he claimed would go towards clearing his school fees. He also told police that he bought blood from a local butchery and sprinkled it on his clothes in an attempt to give off impression that he had been roughed up by his imaginary abductors. Now, efforts are in place to expand the tea export market that will lead to increased tea production locally, hence more job opportunities and improved growth. This is according to Trade Principal Secretary Alfred Mbundo and Cooperative Principal Secretary Patrick Kilemi, who met with tea trade sector players. Internationally, and Tigrayan rebels say they have begun handing in their heavy weapons, a key part of a deal signed more than 2 months ago to end a deadly conflict in northern Ethiopia. The terms of the November 2nd peace agreement include disarming rebel forces, restoring federal authority in Tigray, and reopening access and communications to the region, which has been cut off from the outside world since mid-2021. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
The Spice Newswire is brought to you by Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. Go ahead and get yours today. It's your time.
All right, so we've got some traffic on Gong Road that's leading into the city, and it's going to connect with what's coming off of Uhuru Highway past the Nyeri Stadium roundabout, heading out towards Haile Selassie. So that looks busy already. There's traffic coming off of Raila Odinga Way. It's touching on Langata Road and then connecting with Aerodrome, which is moving ever so slowly into the city as well. Limuru Road is busy this morning, and we're also looking at heavy traffic on the Thika Superhighway, as well as Kiambu Road. This morning, Juja Road is moving slowly, and we're looking at Jogo Road, which started slow as well, very, very early. Pockets of traffic all around the city. We keep an eye on things as we go along. We're in traffic hour proper. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter in an attempt to keep things moving this morning.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start.
How are you doing? Welcome to this third hour of The Situation Room this Thursday, the 12th day of January 2023. When a person dies, the most we wish them is for their souls to rest in eternal peace. For one ex-police chief, Timothy Mumbo, his body has not been so much in peace since his untimely death a very, very long time ago. John Alan Namu, on Kenya's newest TV series and first ever true crime documentary series, The Last Door, looks at the story of Timothy Mumbo and what happened to him in The Last Door. It airs on Sundays, 8 p.m. Maisha Magic Plus, DSTV, Channel 163, GoTV, Channel 8. You can pay your subscription to DSTV and GoTV today and get an upgrade straight up onto this DSTV to watch this and much more. Or you can dial *423# to buy and stay connected. Of course, terms and conditions apply. Ndu.
Yes.
So, if you go to a shop, any shop, and say, nipatie kiwi ya black, and they tell you tuko nayo, very nice, very nice.
Then, kiwi ya black, specifically, under the on the lid, there's this yellow sticker. You'll find it there. There's a code, *459*5#. And then under the lid as well, there's a code. Once you dial that number, you will get instant airtime. Instant, like voila boom, like that.
Hapo.
Or bundles. The choice then becomes yours. Thereafter, you'll also get a chance to enter into a draw that could see you win for 35,000 shillings towards school fees. And it's not just one person who wins, 36 winners. Until the 7th of February, people have an opportunity to win school fees for this, 91 days of January.
People have been winning.
People have been winning, and they will continue to win until the 7th of February.
35 G's going towards school fees. That's proper savings. Actually, in this hour, we're going to be talking about savings. Yes, this is it. We have a guest in the studio. Before we welcome her, she's from Safaricom Sacco. C.T. Muga, this time, he's put down that gadget 1. Now he's looking at gadget 2, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4.
There are phones and there are
Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4s.
Exactly. So, you're talking about a technological companion of mean repute. Serious companion. Do not laugh at a snake because it walks on its belly.
Do not laugh at a snake because it walks on its belly.
Yes, that's not a description of the Z flip phone. No. This is a proverb from Lesotho. Yes.
Right, it's a good one. Elizabeth Mudogo is the vice chairperson of Safaricom Sacco. She joins us now in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year. Happy 2023.
Yes.
And thank you for the invite.
Is it a happy one for you?
Yes, it is. Quite awesome. 2022 has had its own very many things that were happening. The elections, coming to the end of the COVID pandemic. So 2023 happens to be a very bright year for us.
We always begin a new year, on that positive note.
Yes.
This one is going to be the best year yet.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And
but we need to do something to make it the best year yet, right? Can't just say, this one, best year, and then you sit and chill.
But all the signs are there. All the signs are there. For the first time, today I was just telling, today when I was coming in, we now can hug quite easily. Let's start with that. The pandemic is besides us, at least for now. And the future is bright. We are all optimistic. We can now go back to work and everyone is, enthusiastic about the new government in place and how we can be able to make things work for the better of all that we do.
Yeah. From your Sacco, first of all,
yes.
Let's talk about Safaricom Sacco. For those that don't know about it, how many members do you have?
So thank you very much. And Elizabeth, again, is my name, Safaricom Sacco. I also lead the BDC and I also sit in the FNA.
Right.
Okay.
BDC,
Business Development. Business Development.
Yes.
Business Development and also the Finance Committee, which I'm excited to be in there. So Safaricom Sacco, we take pride in having 15,454 members as per yesterday. Okay, out of which 10,920 are active members. Active to mean they're actually taking loans actively and they're actually saving actively and they're interacting with the Sacco very actively. Yes. This has been a rise for the last 3 years. The rise of, we have a target. So we have a target of 3,000 members every year. So this specific
3,000
year,
new members.
Yes, 3,000 new members. So this past year we hit high at the highest of 92% in terms of new membership, and we are excited. So 2023, we have been shooting, when you look at the trend, started with 35%, 74%, we've hit 90%, and we are rising.
Safaricom Sacco, 15,000 members.
Yes.
So all of them work for Safaricom?
No.
Thank you. That's what I'm going to ask. So it's like every year Safaricom employs 3,000 new people.
No.
Yes.
Actually, 30% of the Safaricom Sacco are staff. Safaricom staff.
30%
yes,
only?
Around 30%. The rest of them are and yourselves, and I know by the time we leave this space you'll have joined the Safaricom Sacco, which is very easy. You actually just join in online, Safaricom Sacco, how do I join? And you're in.
Okay.
So we now have bonds. We have Nokia. We work with Nokia. We have different companies that we work with. We work with Mezzanine and a couple of other companies who have actually joined us, and they're still open to be able to join us. We also introduce specific entries for individuals who are interested in joining, and it's very simple. It's simply online. You vet, verify, and you're in. The saving times are very easy. And maybe just to mention, we have received a couple of awards for having been 100% digital. 100% digital. Thank God for the pandemic, which had disadvantages, major disadvantages.
What does 100% digital mean?
You can actually join and I don't have to see you physically. I don't have to see you physically.
Join,
interact,
apply for a loan, repay your loans,
everything, and repay.
Pay your monthly contributions.
And there are a couple of products, a variety of products. You can start with the mobile loan, you have the long-term loans, you have the mortgages, you have we also had introduced a new loan called Pamoja, which basically meant we are able to work with you during the difficult times. We have the long term, we have junior accounts for the children, and we have for chamas, and we have everything. Let me say, you have everything for everyone.
Why are you sounding like a bank?
But we are an investment. We encourage you to save and we encourage you to borrow.
Right.
Savings and credit. It's a financial institution only regulated by somebody else.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We've seen the growth of SACCOs
Yes.
in the country. Let's say in the last 20 years, right? So
initially we had those giant Saccos, like these ones we've taken out several pages in the paper today.
Yes.
Mwalimu Sacco, the giant one.
Yes.
We've seen other Saccos.
Yes.
And then there have been Saccos that started, they were small, they've become big. Other Saccos that started, maybe they amalgamated into others, they joined others. What is this telling us about the Kenyan society and the saving culture? If you basically just specifically look at the number of Saccos that we have and how much money has been saved in the Sacco movement in Kenya.
So maybe we can start off with the very main one. Our lovely president, President Ruto, is very interested in the bottom, the bottom up. When you talk about the Hustler Fund, just getting access to those people who are unbankable.
Yeah.
Those people who cannot go to the bank. And when you mentioned the bank, I smelled at you. Those people who cannot go to the bank. They don't dress well. And they don't have that English. The English that
of loans.
Yes, the English of loans, and they do not have enough collateral to be able to support those loans. So to that extent, we have the Saccos that are coming in to be able to meet their financial requirements at from that place where they are today, something that is accessible to them, as simple as having even mobile loans or even loans that are very easy for them to be able to repay, very easy in very good terms. But the most interesting bit of it all, the Saccos have a very interesting interest rate. Now, maybe one thing you need to remember, Saccos are a very interesting financial engagement or a financial outfit. It is the investor, the Sacco member is the investor, and he's still the customer. So you invest and you still borrow. So whatever you invest, whatever decisions you make in your investment determine your borrowing capacity and your borrowing capability. You're seeing other institutions coming up, and before they're able to repay their customers, they have to borrow money from the bank or borrow from elsewhere. And tangible or profitable Saccos are those that can be able to meet their requirements by borrowing and giving out the loans, as well as providing back to the investors in a more reasonable manner.
Yeah.
Yes.
So with everybody, look, because this is the thing that here we are, and the trends just seems to be that in as much as we know what the government would like to happen, we are seeing a situation where folks are a bit worried about what the economy is going to say to us this year. We've seen the indications of what 2022 was ending and then coming into 2023. And people are worried in terms of what's going to happen. What are we saying then ought to happen with the little shilling that you have? How can you stretch it, save it, grow it?
One of the things I was reading through before as I was preparing for this interview, the only way to be able to beat this inflation that we have, these are difficult times, the only way to be able to beat this inflation is to save. You have to save, and saving is a discipline. You have to be that disciplined. When you get 10 shillings, you have to be disciplined enough to put something on the side, intentional. It is not easy, but you have to put, that's the only way you can be able to meet inflation. And right now, if you want to do the investment, you have to be able to increase on your savings capability so that you can be able to meet the pressures of life, especially for this specific year. But it's a bright year. When you walk out there, when I was coming in this morning, people are actually livened up and they're actually looking for work activities to do. We have the insurgence of, online businesses that are now picking up, and people are actually getting very active to make sure they make an extra shilling. My advice would be, for that extra shilling that you make, please have the discipline, and it starts from very simple things. Have the discipline of putting something on the side. As I was chatting this with my cousin Bruce, he was telling me, how do I even save if my stomach itself is not filled? Yeah, and that's the question that keeps coming up. You will never have enough, but you can always have that simple bit that you have the discipline of putting something on the side so that you can be able to take care of your future. Pretty much like a farmer. In Safaricom, I also handle the agriculture. You have to be like a farmer. You plant and be patient enough to see it mature and be able to come into life. Yes.
The thing is, when you plant, you don't just sit back.
Yes.
You've got to tend to that crop.
Yes.
Make sure, you're weeding,
Yes.
you're watering the plant, you're taking care of the plant, bringing it to the point of maturity, flowering, and removing getting the fruit out.
Yes.
With this saving, what is it that you do so that the saving then becomes something that you
harvest at some point later.
Okay.
And it's of greater value, like you said, beating inflation and all.
So I'll tell you, maybe from a lifestyle perspective within Safaricom and how we have been able to create that capability for our members. First, you are able to join in and you put in a deposit, okay? So that you can be able to safeguard on your interest and you can be able to have consistency in savings. One of the disciplines specifically for people who are on a paycheck, who are the minority, especially if I look at the Safaricom Sacco, you must have the discipline of having a standing order. Have a standing order that is intentional towards you increasing on your savings. Now, when you increase on your savings, it also gives you the liberty to be able to get more in terms of the loans. We have a couple of loan products. You mentioned this in January has 91 days.
Yeah. By tomorrow, there'll be 95.
There'll be 91 or 95 or thereabouts. School fees is coming. But once you do the savings, you have very many propositions and products that you are eligible to as a member to be able to improve on your lifestyle. One thing for caution that we also need to put into place, you do not borrow for entertainment. Borrow for investment. Borrow for investment and keep at it. Just like a farmer, keep at it, keep at it, keep putting at the side and have that intentional discipline of putting something on the side consistently for you to increase on your capability to be able to borrow.
Do you know how difficult it is to actually maintain a lifestyle that includes entertainment? You know how difficult the discipline you require to actually have that consistency? So you're telling me that I cannot borrow money so that I can have a good time with my money?
That you have to pay back.
You have to pay back.
You're going to pay back, but surely.
You'll have enjoyed.
Should I not have the freedom of thanking my body and thanking my being
But the question
for having
will
this
be,
ability to have the money?
Yeah, but the question will be, how many times do you entertain yourself? You need to have that discipline of keeping something aside. And one of the other disciplines that come through, and just speaking to your entertainment bit, you should be able to pay yourself. 3 things.
Pay myself.
Pay yourself. Make sure you pay yourself. And you have that consistency. If you put it at the end of the month, every month end, there's 10% that I have to pay myself. You take that 10% and put it on the side, even before everything else. You put it on the side, and you must have a budget. This year, if there's anything that you need to resolve to do, you must have a budget, put something on the side, and also be able to reward yourself. You've been working hard. But then rewarding yourself, is it an everyday affair?
You should. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
See, I know I'm being facetious, but it's deliberate. Because when you talk about saving and you talk about putting money aside for that rainy day, it's a concept that in and of itself is good. It is a desirable concept and it's desirable to be implemented. But then how does that speak to the reality that very many people face? Because even what they have cannot be put together to even get them to not live, survive on a daily basis. So how then, when you actually can't survive with what you have, not live, do you then put money aside? How?
So that's a tough question. It's a very tough question.
That's question 1A.
Can I respond to that?
Respond to 1A. Yes, then I'm coming to 1A.
Yes. And it comes in the form of a question.
Yes.
Do you at any one time, besides having that scarce resource, do you at any one time have something coming along your way that you had not planned for? Number 1. And number 2, do you at any one time able to make the decision to live a little bit lower than where you are today? To mean that those scarce resources, are you able to align your resources to make sure you're able to meet your standards with the means that you have, so that when you live at the means that you have, you're able to put something on the side? Because one of the challenges that come through, we are all striving to live a fancy, and it's natural, a fancy lifestyle. So you're always struggling to make sure these ends meet, and they hardly ever meet. But if you just take one step back, have a budget, and the budget gives you a reasoning of where you are at any one time and what you can be able to kick off or kick out.
You see, we may be speaking at cross purposes for this reason.
Yes.
I am looking at what I would like to refer to as an average Kenyan whose earning does not go beyond 10,000. So if you ask them to live a lifestyle that's below the one they're living, then they have to be underground. they've already hit rock bottom. There's really nowhere to move. They are solidly there. And the only way they survive, if you look at their lives, is they live on credit, meaning there's somebody, they're always borrowing and lending. And why am I saying this? Because many such Kenyans also have many children. Okay? So, unless you're asking them to sell their children or give away some of their children, all right, so that they have fewer children to feed. Now, I'm being facetious, but there's a point I'm trying to make.
Of course.
I'm saying that the conversation about saving and the conversation about putting something aside for this group of individuals, how do we communicate it so that this little that they have, which is hardly adequate just to keep them alive, keeps them alive, and yet at the same time they're able to put something aside? That's really the conversation I'm asking.
Okay. I'll attempt to answer, especially when you boxed it on the 10,000, where the majority of the people fall, 10 and 15,000. Within the Safaricom Sacco, we have a couple of people that come in, and the requests are adverse. The one that is a major one, within Safaricom Sacco, we build propositions or products that are insight-led. And what do I mean by that? One of the requests that come through, I'm interested in improving my life. I'm not, because it's a pyramid, it's a cycle. They go through the same cycle, you do not have enough, and you're always borrowing and borrowing. One of the things that we do intentionally is to advise. We have aggressive knowledge transfer sessions. And I'll give you one typical one. For example, if you have a piece of land, okay, so we give you that advice. We have a piece of land and you feel you can be able to do irrigation to be able to improve on your lifestyle. Now, just to be able to do irrigation, you need water, a lot of water for that matter. So we come in and support you by giving that entity of a water tank. I'm not able to afford a water tank. The water tank costs 60,000 or 20,000 or 30,000. I'm still earning the 15,000. So we break it down and give you a capability for you to be able to get that water tank, which you are able to pay in small bits and pieces. And the Sacco, if you are to try it, it has very, very easy conditions, very tangible. There are people at the back who are able to listen. We have a support line where we are able to listen to you. And we're able to give you very flexible terms and work with you the entire journey. You can even do a restructuring. Now, there's only one way to break. The 10,000 is actually not enough today, and it has been a cycle. But you have to make some intentional decision to be able to stretch a little bit more, cut out on something more. I am in a church today where we are fasting. We are fasting and praying. You cut out on some meals and you're able to bring 1, 2, 3 things together. And I know you're asking, how much do you save from the 10 or 15,000 shillings? But you're able to put something aside, have that water and be able to take care of your crops. That's just one example.
Do I hear you to be saying that when you have members who are in this never-ending vicious cycle, the idea of saving is tied to a plan that will improve your life. So we transform the life. Difficult as it is, you're telling them that this thing that you're doing will enable you to get out of this particular situation that you are in.
Exactly.
So difficult as it is, it'll be even more difficult when you save. But at the end of it, now the end of it is 3 months' time, 6 months' time, 1 year, whatever the period of time, you will be able to get out of it.
You'll be able to have tangible results. Okay. And I'll also give you a typical example. This December, I was privileged to be part of the team, something that we have been looking forward to giving out land to our Sacco members, those who had bought. Now, they had bought at a very reasonable figure. And when you look at it, I am a beneficiary of some land that I bought for 150,000 shillings. It's now retailing for around 2 million thereabouts. I was not able to pay 150,000 shillings on the spot. I was able to pay in little bits and pieces. But as it is right now, if I was able to trade it, I can actually be able to make 2 million. It requires that discipline, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Actually, all the Sacco products that we have, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. One of the things that we encourage our members, please don't put money on the side, under the bed or in the bank or somewhere. Invest that money so that you can be able to borrow more and you can have good facilities. We have mortgage products now, and we have reasonable mortgage products that cut across, both from people who have very small amounts of money, and we have very interesting payment terms. You can repay within 15 years. We have a beautiful mortgage product where you can be able to pay up to 25 years. What that means is you have a home ownership program where instead of paying that rent, which is a cycle, you can now start putting in the money and be able to own a home at the end of it all. You can be able to start putting in a development loan and be able to develop yourself, buy your piece of land, do your construction, and you work with you the entire journey.
Is there a limit as to how low you will go when it comes to buying a house?
In terms of...
Meaning, you see, when people think of houses, they think of mini rooms. What if I just want to buy a unit, which is a room?
So depending on the amount, we have loan structures that start even from 3 million. 3 million could mean you can actually have a room. But it depends. Where are you looking at that room?
3 million is a house. I mean, the 3 million room, what on earth does that room have?
But what it would mean also, you can even take not only a mortgage, you can even come back and take. We have these easy projects that are coming up where we're doing studios for students, and they're like 2 million, and we're getting into partnerships with a couple of these engagement homes, and we're bringing our Sacco members close to be able to take up.
Erica, are we going into a break?
Yes.
Okay.
It's time for you to take Minute Maid.
Okay.
The kind of questions you're asking, you need it.
You need a Wusa moment.
No, but he's very specific. He wants to get that one room, and you can use it.
Yeah, you told him that at the end of the conversation he would have been signed up to this, so he needs to make sure
and
he's
you're
getting
often.
This 3 million shilling room that people are talking about, you'll have to expound on it.
Take some Minute Maid, City. It's time for that, okay? Every time, it's not just about breakfast or lunch or dinner or, having juice at the end of the day. Anytime you're just going about your day and you're feeling tired and you're feeling energy, you've lost your energy and you just want to re-energize yourself, you know what you do? Grab some Minute Maid. That's what you need to do. It's 28 minutes to 9. Let's take this quick break. But also at the same time, remember... 300 shillings per month is enough to give you what?
entertainment across board. You want to watch series, you want to watch movies, you want to watch documentaries, you want to watch live events, anything you want to watch, thanks to Showmax. An opportunity to register and have entertainment for as little as 300 shillings every month. Imagine. So,
wherever you are.
Anywhere, on your phone, on the go, in your couch, in your one room.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Behind every crime and murder, there's a reason and a motive, some dark, some simple, and some unbelievably terrifying. But truth is, no one really knows what happens behind closed doors. Well, until now. I, John Allen Namu, will be opening the last door to reveal the truth behind the nation's most infamous criminal happenings in a new true crime documentary called The Last Door on Maisha Magic Plus DSTV channel 163 and GoTV channel 8. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. as we look into the heart of crime and sieve rumor from truth. Dial *423# to get or stay connected to DSTV or GoTV.
Sunny conditions at 18 in Nairobi. We'll see highs of 26 and we'll see highs of 28 in Nakuru, where it's sunny at 15, 13 and sunny in Nyeri, highs of 25 and lows of 10. We're looking at sunny conditions at 14 in Eldoret, highs of 24, and looking into Mombasa, it's sunny at 28, highs of 32 today, and we'll see highs of 32 as well in a sunny Kakamega. Lagos is clear at 25 with highs of 34. We'll see highs of 27 in a cloudy Kinshasa at 25, coming down to lows of 22.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 SpiceFM, Nairobi.
All right, still a bit heavy on the Thika Superhighway. Just coming past Survey now, though, and then through towards Wangari Maathai Way into that whole Parklands Westlands issue. Still pretty busy. It's really busy on Jogo Road, just past the Makadara train station, and also Lunga Lunga is in and outbound busy. Outer Ring also taking off some from all of those feeder roads and some traffic there. Mombasa Road not looking too bad till you get to the Nyeri Stadium roundabout out towards Haile Selassie. That slows down just a little bit. We're still in traffic hour and we'll see how it happens in about 30 minutes or so. SpiceFM KE on Twitter, talk to us there.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Oh, yes, the National Treasury has told us 2023, just brace yourself. It's going to be a tough economic year. But at the same time, we must live. And we must live also thinking about the future. And that's why Elizabeth Mudogo is here from the Safaricom Sacco. She's the vice chairperson. And she's telling us the importance of saving. Whatever your lifestyle, whatever your income, just think about having that discipline of saving. And the word is discipline. CT, you were asking something.
I was, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You say that you have partnerships with organizations.
Yes.
Okay. What if the organization is, say, a housing circle that people have formed?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have association with such institutions?
Yes, we do, to an extent, because we come in to support in terms of financing. So you'll find they're interested, they have the constructions, but they do not have the capability of the finances or the muscle to be able to support the members. So we come in and support the financial entity in terms of giving the customers the financing. And I'll give you a typical example. Like internally within Safaricom, we have Safaricom Investment, which is our brother. It's our brother.
Strong brother.
Yes, it's a very strong brother that actually broke off from the Safaricom Sacco, which basically handles housing and land and those kind of matters. So we partner together where we provide financing for their capability, but we also have within Safaricom Sacco the capability of doing mortgaging, 15 years, 20 years. And now that you're talking about housing, we also have other propositions for vehicles where you can still take a loan at very flexible rates. And I think Safaricom stands out for one of the lowest rates in the market. We do from 8% to 12% per annum, which is actually very friendly. Today, I got a notification. You have seen what's happening, and brace yourself, indeed it is. When you look at the financial sector, especially from the banks, they've actually given an alert already. The interest rates are going up. This is an opportune moment where you are the investor and the customer to be able to come in and build your own capability. Our interest rates are still standard. We are not increasing the interest rates because we are interested in transforming the life of our members to better their future.
It's interesting that you say that. And one of the things that you said earlier, talking about the fact that the majority of the investors at the Sacco are unsalaried folks. That means they're running their own business or they're doing something whereby, clearly they're unsalaried.
Yes.
So, Elizabeth, the truth of the matter is that we cannot run away from the fact that a lot of people are really going through the ringers now.
Yes.
You know, that it's really tough.
Yes.
That to find an extra... my God, 100 shillings sometimes is a real struggle.
Yes, it is.
And here we are saying that even I'm playing basketball, a coach used to say that when you've been fouled and you're on the free throw line, you have opportunity to make that point. But that's probably when you're tired. You're really, really tired. And that's when you must dig to be able to score that point. So it's like making the same parallel to say that even when it's very, very difficult, find that extra shilling to save it because you know that it's going to count for a point later. But so here we are saying that even folks who are doing business, you're doing a business whereby maybe it's giving you a little bit of profit at the end of the day.
Yes.
And regardless of what it is, take a little bit of that and put it away.
Yes.
But I know that the question for a lot of people today is, if I'm coming to the Sacco, or even if it is there, will you accept my little?
Yes. And you're quite open. We're actually very open to have those discussions. I was talking to, and we have the young people who are now joining the Safaricom Sacco, very young. And I think one of the reasons was because we have become totally digital. And one of them, we had a face-on-face, and he was very interested. Does it mean when I join the Safaricom Sacco, I can actually be able to get some money to increase my business? The good news is, once you join the Safaricom Sacco, after 3 months, we've vetted and checked, we can be able to give you something small. After 6 months, you are entitled to get a long-term loan, which now speaks to your putting in something small, whatever small it is, and we are open. You can actually be able to put in something small as far as we have a minimum amount that you can be able to put in, and the minimum is 3,000 shillings for you to be reasonable. The secret of it is the more you put in, the more you can be able to borrow, because you have a multiplier effect. After 6 months, we have loans where you can take up to 3 times what you have been able to save, up to 4 times what you've been able to save, and at times up to 5 times what you've been able to save, depending on the product itself. When it comes to a mortgage, you are only able to entitled to get a mortgage after 1 year. When you have been working with us for 1 year and you're able to check on your repayment capability, then you're able to give you a mortgage. But the discipline now comes in. You should be able to put in something small because of the multiplier effect. Remember, you're the customer and you're the investor. So we are able to work with that, investor capability. And one of the things I was surprised you didn't ask about people asking about Sacco's work on a guarantor model, where you're able to guarantee each other. We have also now introduced a collateral-based proposition where you're able to guarantee yourself and you have the collateral that you can be able to put in to safeguard what you're able to pick it up. Yes.
You know, one of the things about SACCOs that would be big is on corporate governance.
Yes.
So yes, we have the Sacco Society Regulatory Authority that is up there regulating and oversighting the operations of SACCOs. But at the Sacco level, there's a board.
Yes.
Is it a board of management or board of trustees? It's a board of what?
Board of directors. We have a board of directors.
There's a board of directors.
Yes.
And then there's the management.
Yes.
And the staff of the Sacco.
Yes.
Now, in a digital Sacco such as yours, how are AGMs held? How are board members elected? How do you do the corporate governance and transparency and openness to all your members?
And it's good you brought this up. Very interesting. We are at a very interesting season within Safaricom Sacco when we're preparing for our AGM coming up in 1 month. So we are doing our AGM in the next 1 month. So we intentionally have a yearly AGM, a general meeting, where you bring in the members, both virtually and physically, where you're able to discuss. And that remember, the members are the ones who make decisions of the board. We have of the management of the entire running of the Sacco. So we have the board of directors led by, and we have Safaricom Sacco. This time round, we have a very productive and a very supportive board led by Paul Msava. And we have, and it cuts across. So we have both Safaricom staff. As long as you're a member, you're entitled. And the election, we have a minimum criteria in terms of criteria that you need to be able to meet to be able to become a director. Among them, certificate of good conduct, in terms of how much you have been able to put in as a member, because you also have your stake in there, and in terms of decision making and the interest. And one of the other things that we check on is what you're actually bringing in. Once you join the board, we have now the management, where you have the CEO, you have the head of departments, you have an audit committee, we have a supervisory board that is intentional, and it is to be able to counter check on the resources that we have. And how we do our governance, we have regular sessions. On a minimum, we have a monthly meeting as the full board, and then you have the different committees. So you have the business development committee, which I lead. We have the F&A, the finance committee. We have the credit committee. We have the audit committee. We have the supervisory committee, which meet on a minimum once a month, and then you meet again once a month to be able to discuss on the issues that are coming up, how to do the advisory. And you also have external teams that come in to be able to check. We have an audit team that checks on how you do your operations, and we also do a lot of benchmarking, both inward and outward, to be able to increase and also improve on our governance. And we have seen a lot of progress, especially in the last 3 years that I have been sitting in the board. I'm actually open for re-election this coming AGM, and I know the members are listening to me. I am vying again. Mimi nasimama, and I'm praying that you give me another opportunity. We've seen a lot of growth and the transparency that comes with it. The digital era has given us that capability of having virtual sessions. We overload our members with knowledge and information and trainings. We have training sessions every Thursday. We share our reports even before the AGM, which is mandatory, and it's actually from a regulatory perspective, where we share the numbers and we also give an explanation. And we open lines for them to be able to communicate. We have a support line where they can always be able to call. We have iConnect. Most of the people that we have are tech savvy, so they'll be able to chat. We have the Facebook that is active, and we have a customer service line. We have the IVR, interactive voice response, where you're able to still talk to someone, a warm-bodied person at the back, and you can still walk in if you are interested to be able to get support.
Is everybody warm-bodied? Anyway, that's
valid question.
The second bit of my question is with regards to the guarantor model.
Yes.
Okay, so that's SACCOs are actually based on that.
Yes.
That you go and take a loan and your fellow members will be your guarantors.
Yes.
Now, many SACCOs are formed by people who come from a homogeneous community.
Yes.
You work in the same organization, so you know one another. You know where to find each other.
Yes.
Now, in a SACCO such as this one, where You've opened it up to members of the public.
Yes.
If this morning City Muga joined Safaricom Sacco,
Yes.
for instance, and he wanted to take a loan after some time,
Yes.
he doesn't know anybody else.
Yes.
He joined virtually. He has been getting his statements virtually. He's been making his contributions virtually. He has no one that he knows. How would he get guarantors?
So that's one of the things that actually led us into bringing in a different proposition where you're able to guarantee yourself. However, one of the things that we've also seen, as unique as it is, we've actually gone global. We have close to 3,000 members who are in the diaspora, including one of our board members, actually operates from Safaricom Ethiopia, Pius, and he asked me to give him a shout out on this session. Hi, Pius. But he works in the diaspora where you are able to still interact. So one of the things that we've done, we also have a portion where you indicate you are referred, you're recommended by someone or something like that, and you're able to make that cycle go on. The other thing that I mentioned, we have other closed sessions. We have knowledge transfer sessions where we also create forums where these members can be able to talk and interact and can be able to know each other and guarantee each other. But besides that, the bottom line also, we also have capability for you to be able to guarantee yourself, and you're able to use your shares or a physical title or something like that to be able to guarantee your financing. But bottom line, within 6 months, you are actually entitled to come to the long term. The beautiful bit, and I see him questioning, does it mean if I come in, I don't know if it's part of your question, I can come in and dependent on how much I ask, dependent on my shares, I can be able to get any amount. The rules are very clear. If it's a 3-time multiplier, you actually qualify to that. We have some reasonable amount. We do not have liquidity issues. We have some reasonable amount you can be able to finance and support you.
Pesa iko. Pesa iko
tax. In fact, we're looking to be able to lend out. One of the things that we are pushing, we need you to be able to borrow because our interest rates are very, very reasonable. We need you to be able to borrow so that we can pay you back something that is tangible and you can be able to enjoy and be able to improve on your
essentially
lifestyle.
The interest that you earn is also works as dividends for your members.
Yes.
Where else does the Sacco invest?
So we have invested besides in the members.
Yes.
We also invest in the central bank. We also invest in the bonds. We also invest in the money market. And we also invest in, we had invested in land. We are slowly moving out from the land.
Why?
The land is tricky. It's very, very tricky because we are not experts on land. So
why
we're
is it
given
tricky?
that. It's tricky. The whole process around acquiring, maintaining,
Title
paying,
deedling,
checking the titling. It's a process on its
I
own.
still don't understand why it's tricky because it's just a process.
It is a process which is tricky. So to that extent, what we have done
in this country,
what we have done, we have intentionally separated that and given that mandate to the Safaricom investment. Basically, within Safaricom Sacco.
What's the relationship? That's why I was heading between.
Safaricom Sacco investment hived off from Safaricom Sacco. To be able to take care of land and housing and such like physical feature activities.
Where does it get its capital from?
So they do they're in business.
Right.
They are doing business, and I'm not able to speak much about the Safaricom investment. However, for the members, they are open to be able to come to Safaricom Sacco for financing if they want to be able to get the loans, to be able to buy land and be able to get the housing. So we are open to them.
There's something that is always mentioned when people talk about savings.
Yes.
And how wonderful savings are and what they will do for you in the future. And, and I'm sure they do all these things.
Yes.
But if I look at our shilling and the strength that it has, no, let me put it more accurately, and the diminishing strength that it has, if I put my money in the bank or if I put it in a Sacco, 1 million shillings now will not be worth 1 million shillings next year. It will be worth less.
In the bank?
Even in the Sacco. Because the bank will tell me they'll pay me an interest. What will they pay me? If I put money in a Sacco, you will promise me dividend. What percent? And you will tell me it depends on their investments, blah, 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 but a minimum is this. Perfectly understandable. What I'm getting to is this. Tricky as land is, land is the one thing in this country whose value always increases. I haven't heard. If someone knows, they should tell me. A place
Any
where
land that's depreciated.
Yes, I have I'm yet to come across it, and yet the shilling on its own depreciates in value. So, tricky as it is, has the Sacco tried to find a way of making it less tricky? I know you've said, okay, the investment, yes, but so the fact that it's there, has it become less tricky?
So when it's there, our mandate sticks to lending and encouragement of the savings. And I like the way you're putting it, and especially when you mentioned that land, which has depreciated in value. There's one, especially around Baringo area, where the land is actually submerging. So the land is actually losing out. When the water is coming up, the land is losing out.
So now you own a lake.
Yeah, yes. It forms a lake. But maybe just to give you a distinction, you own part of the lake. But there is an opportunity. When you put in money in the bank today, the money sits safely in the bank. You do not earn anything tangible. Within the Safaricom Sacco, it's very clear, it is transparent, you will get a dividend. And for the Safaricom Sacco, I can guarantee the dividends that you're going to give out this year are far much better than what we did last year because of the governance that we have put in place, again, led by the very supportive board and the principles that we have been able to put in place. So one of the things that we've also seen and are very keen on is how do we reinvest this money that you give us to be able to give us more. Land has been very funny, but we are moving out. Safaricom investment is there to be able to support that. But it's a good insight. We are not putting it under the bucket. We are not putting it under the carpet.
Where I'm going with this.
We are not throwing it under the bucket, but I pick that as an insight for us to be able to check.
Where I'm going with this is, I'm actually trying to say that land actually isn't tricky. It's individuals who deal in land who are tricky. So
thank you for pointing it out.
Well, yes. So if you have this investment arm, is there an investigative arm as well within the investment arm? Because then, how do you suss out and ensure
for due diligence?
Yes, exactly. So that you ensure that if you're going to invest your clients and your members' money in that piece of land, you have reduced the risk as far as is humanly possible.
Completely.
As humanly possible. It has to be humanly possible.
I take it up as an insight from our side in terms of how we can be able to recoin that. But as I mentioned to you, we are not experts on land matters. Maybe it's something that we need to look at for us to be able to meet the needs of our members, just to be able to see if we can be able to invest and have a separate entity that looks at the whole due diligence. And I'll give you a typical example. When we were doing the Kisumu land that has been there for a while, the whole issue around going in, taking the title, there was a succession issue, handling the succession. The terms have changed a little. How do you meet those change of terms? You go in, there's a cleanup in the land sector. You go in and the files are sitting in some corner and there's only one person who can access. We're not experts. So it's taken a little bit of a toil, but we are in it and we've walked the journey together. So I take that insight very strongly. It's something that we can consider as a prospective board to see how I can be able to support our members.
Does SASRA have regulations on how a Sacco can invest members' money?
Yes, they do.
And does it put a cap? For example, it says if you're going to the money markets, you can only invest 20%.
Yes.
And such and such.
Yes, there's a regulation. It's very clear, especially in the money market. This is only how much you can be able to invest. And it's for our good. It's even for the members' good. You could find yourself, you have invested every money. So when members come in and they want to be able to get a loan, they can't because you are not liquid at all.
Yep.
So the regulations in terms of the percentage of the amount that you can be able to liquidate and the amount that you can be able to put in investments. And for every proposition that we come up with, we have to pass it through SASRA for approval before we share it with our members.
I'm asking that because as the regulator,
yes,
they'll of course be faced with some SACCOs where who've gone into investment into areas where it's hard to get the cash out. And then the members' frustration starts piling up and have issues. So that's what I was asking. What kind of regulations does SASRA have in place to ensure that you're protecting members' savings while at the same time ensuring that the Sacco is making money to be able to keep lending to members besides making money from the interest from loans to members?
So we have regulation that we stick to them. One of the things that I have learned in the Safaricom board when I joined, that those governance issues that you have to stick by. For example, there's something we call the PAR that you always have to make sure you check. And now we have put in the discipline to start checking on it early in advance. There's the IC ratio that you have to make sure you're in compliance so that even before you do the AGM, you have to get an approval also from SASRA on how much you can be able to give out, how much you can be able to hold. The liquidity ratio is something that is very critical that they monitor. The beautiful bit, what I have seen in the Safaricom Sacco, we also have the nomination committee and we have the regulator coming into our sessions every now and then to give advice. A lot of training. I have gone through numerous financial training just to be able to make sure we keep at best on what the Safaricom Sacco does and how we can be able to support our members to move into the future. As you said, savings is a very difficult task. It requires discipline, and the best we can do is to support our members, give our members the best. We put our members first, so it's the best of their interest that we put their money where they can be able to earn, some dividends and some rebates out of it.
Yeah, so I mean, even just looking at the times in which we are currently sitting in, so just saying, okay, from the experiences, I mean, here obviously, from the experiences, the different people who've come knocking on the door, what would you say is what you're telling folks today? That forget about having something right now where there's nothing. And all right, maybe there might be something coming in, and maybe you would argue, well, you're in the position where there's nothing because you haven't had best saving practices. What would be your advice now going forward and saying, okay, guys, we are starting this thing again. This is how to go about it.
And thank you. Thank you very much for that opportunity. At Safaricom Sacco, we have a product again. We call Mletendani. So we bring them in. So my call to action, whatever small it is, as long as you're consistent in the monthly contribution, the minimum we take is 3,000. As long as you're consistent, we are able to bring you in. Mletendani, our hands are open and we are willing to listen and you're able to restructure and you're open to be able to discuss with you on how we can be able to improve. If you're on the 10,000 and you want something smaller, we are an insight-led organization and we are very deliberate about that. We listen to our members and come up with a proposition to be able to accommodate them in. And it's very simple. You just go to the internet, Google Safaricom Sacco, how do I join in? And you are able to join in and we are happy to be able to onboard you and be able to walk the journey with you to improve on your saving culture and to improve on your life and improve on your investment. Remember, you need to be able to be deliberate about putting something on the side for you to be able to invest. And it's a trade-off between consumption and investment. You have to be able to do the balance. Yes.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth, for coming today.
Awesome.
And like you said, it's the beginning of the year and we have to keep talking about this.
Yes.
Until we see that the culture of savings is improving.
Yes.
Well, we still have a lot of money that has been saved into SACCOs and other areas. So we just keep pushing that conversation.
Yes.
Let me tell you about Showmax. You know about Showmax. You've heard Showmax.
Yes.
Showmax.com.
Yes.
And Showmax on your TV.
I have it.
You have it.
I have it at home.
Which one do you have? Do you have the one that you can actually watch live news, live programming?
No. I have the one for watching the movies. I have young people in my house. Yes.
So they watch movies, series.
They watch movies, yes.
Kids programming.
Programs,
very many
the drama,
originals, Showmax originals.
Yes.
A lot of drama. You can also get to watch live TV as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, you can tell the young people if they like football. For example, it's football season.
Awesome.
Our Formula 1 season is about to begin in about a few months' time. They can get also to watch that. You just need to upgrade kidogo too.
And
I
have had the
and then just go you just need to upgrade into that is able to give you live sports and they can watch live sports. You too.
Awesome, and you've got me covered. And before we leave, and maybe just a shout out, I was told by my team members, I have to say hello to them, the entire board, the members, and the champions, specifically the champions, Safaricom Sacco. You guys are doing a splendid, fantastic job, bringing and sacrificially, they put in very many hours to make the Safaricom Sacco a success. Paul Musava, Faith, Cheum, Alex, wote, salamu.
Salamu zimetoka hapa hadi kwenu, including Pius in Ethiopia.
Yes.
Good morning. It's 9 a.m.
Thank you.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Professor Njuguna Ndung'u warned Kenyans to brace themselves for tough times ahead, saying the country's financial crisis is rising to unimaginable levels. Speaking during the public hearings of the budget-making process that brought together stakeholders from different sectors, including representatives from the executive and legislature, the Treasury boss also called for austerity measures in the ministries, including the suspension of any new development projects. Prices of commodities and particularly household goods continue to be government's headache, with President William Ruto insisting that subsidy programs that existed before plunged the country into financial headwinds. The exchequer is now turning its energy to tax collection to boost the revenue figures. Now, a Form 4 student from Kamunda Secondary School in Awendo, Migori County has been arrested for allegedly faking his own abduction and demanding 20,000 shillings ransom from his mother. 22-year-old Joseph Odhiambo was frog-marched to Awendo police station by his mother after admitting that his alleged kidnapping was nothing but a ruse. Odhiambo claimed to have been abducted by unknown individuals on January 5th before showing up at his mother's doorstep on January 9th, clad in blood-stained clothes. Upon questioning by police, Odhiambo admitted to having sent numerous text messages to his mother demanding the said ransom, which he claimed would go towards clearing his school fees. He also told police that he bought blood from a local butchery and sprinkled it on his clothes in an attempt to give off the impression that he had been roughed up by his imaginary abductors. Now, 2 Kenyan students are set to participate in the 2023 Young Scientist and Technology Exhibition in Dublin, Ireland. Keith Bryan and Maxwell Okoth, both first-year students pursuing electrical engineering at Strathmore University, will showcase a smart security system at the science fair that brings together young scientists from across the world. The innovation is a vigilance system that uses artificial intelligence to detect security threats in buildings. The system will help users to reduce the response time during the attacks and employs vision learning that studies human behavior to preempt any anomalies. If detected, a re-engineered CCTV sends live footage to an app linked to the CCTV to notify a user of the possible threat. Now, a family in Naishi, in Joro sub-county in Nakuru County, is seeking justice after their kin was killed and another one injured allegedly by a police vehicle from Naishi police station. Ann Wambui Kihungi died soon after arriving at the Nakuru Teaching and Referral Hospital. Hassan Emilio Shege was treated and discharged after sustaining injuries from the accident. According to the deceased husband, Kihungi Njage, the police vehicle from Naishi police station hit the motorbike at a road junction from behind. The wife was a pillion passenger on the motorbike that was being ridden by her son. The deceased and her son were heading to Nakuru Teaching and Referral Hospital in Nakuru City to visit a relative who had been admitted to the facility. The police officer driving the vehicle is alleged to have been drunk at the time of the accident. Anti-Tigrayan rebels have said that they've begun handing in their heavy weapons, a key part of a deal signed more than 2 months ago to end a deadly conflict in northern Ethiopia. The terms of November 2nd peace agreement, including disarming rebel forces, restoring federal authority in Tigray, and reopening access and communications to the region, which has been cut off from the outside world since mid-2021. Fighting broke out in November 2020 when Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed deployed the army in a bid to topple Tigrayan leaders who had been challenging his authority for months and whom he accused of attacking federal military bases. And Russia has ordered its top general to take charge of its faltering invasion of Ukraine in the biggest shakeup yet of its malfunctioning military command structure. It did so as Russian forces struggled to cement their control of the small East Ukrainian salt mining town of Solda, after taking heavy casualties a day after the leader of the Wagner contract militia said the town was under Russian control. Wagner is one of the number of semi-autonomous Russian forces whose high profile on the battlefield after more than 10 months of war has underlined the ineffectiveness of Russia's core military in a campaign the Kremlin had expected to finish in days. And Uganda has declared an end to Ebola virus outbreak that emerged almost 4 months ago and claimed the lives of 55 people. The move was confirmed in a statement issued by the World Health Organization. Aseng said that on January 11th marked 113 days since the start of the outbreak of the often fatal hemorrhagic fever in the East African country. I'm Dennis Assetto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, so we're looking. What's this? Some traffic on Mombasa Road today, leading out from Mlolongo, going towards through towards Cabanas, out towards Imaradaima. That's a hold up there. Not quite sure what's causing that. Shout out if you know what it is. Jogo Road, there's also traffic there. Still continues into the CBD. Let's take a look at the Thika Superhighway, which was dwindling, and we're just looking at past survey, but Kiambu Road is a whole other mess, and it's in and outbound traffic. I don't know how many lanes those are now, and it's coming all the way from Ridgeways Road out towards Kiambu Road, parts of the northern bypass as well. All right, also looking at Limuru Road with some traffic this morning. It continues well past 9 o'clock. Let's take a look in about half an hour and see if by the end of traffic hour, traffic's still there. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 minutes after 9. Good morning and welcome to the final hour of the Situation Room today. It's Thursday, the 12th day of what month? January. What year? 2023. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. The Last Door is Kenya's newest TV series and the first ever true crime documentary series hosted by the legendary investigative journalist John Allan Namu. Join John as he retraces the last steps of victims of infamous and horrific murder victims before they met their deaths and what is being done in the pursuit of justice. Watch a new episode every Sunday from 8 p.m. on Maisha Magic Plus, DSTV channel 163, GoTV channel 8, and if you dial star 423 hash, you can buy or you can stay connected. And if you actually pay for your DSTV and GoTV today, you get upgraded to get Maisha Magic Plus, so you can watch The Last Door. Also, it's the 12th. How many days till school's open?
11.
And now you're here. Your child is going from grade 6 to grade 7.
And they need new uniform in the same school.
In the same school. Upgrade uniform. Right? So you need to think about money for uniform. And then there's the money for school fees. And you say grade 6 and grade 7, those are different schools.
Of course.
School fees can't be the same.
No, please.
No, one is junior secondary.
And the other is still primary.
The other one is primary.
Right.
So you need 35,000 shillings or more.
So there's a way for you to get at least the 35,000 shillings. The or more, we'll figure it out. But 35,000 shillings, Kiwi is saying step up and shine. And what you need to do is go into any of your shops where Kiwi can be found. Buy a tin of the Kiwi black shoe polish, and there's a code under the lid, and you will send that to star 459 star 5 hash. You get airtime or bundles, and then immediately you get an opportunity to enter into the draw where you could win this 35,000 shillings for school fees.
Like that, like that.
Like that, like that.
Like that, like that. Where? So, earlier as we were talking all these things, City was just bobbing his head because he was not hearing what we were saying. He was listening to something on his Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4 using his Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's removed the buds, he can hear us. Hey, City.
Hello, Eric.
What's up?
Well, it's where it is and it's what it was.
So we're immersed in sound.
Yes.
What are you listening to? You are watching something. You're doing something like a Showmax series that you're catching up on.
It's music.
Oh.
Every time you go away.
take a little piece of meat.
See? Yes.
With you.
Yes. You know that song. Yes.
Today's proverb.
From the country of Lesotho, do not laugh at a snake because it walks on its belly.
Do not laugh at a snake because it walks on its belly.
You know the snake's belly, those are its legs. Anything that enables you to move forward, those are your legs.
What's your interpretation of this proverb?
That forward movement takes many shapes and forms. That's really in a nutshell. Because the snake does get to where it wants to go to. It doesn't have feet like us, but it still gets, it even climbs trees. Some even fly.
Accept different perspectives.
Movement is movement.
Open your mind.
Open your mind.
Open your horizons.
Yes. Okay. We have Mheshimiwa Grace Kiptui, who is a former woman rep for Baringo County, joining us in the studio. Good morning, Grace.
Good morning and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yes. Welcome again to Kenya's biggest conversation on this side of 2023.
Thank you.
Ulirukia wapi?
Nilirukia wapi? Eldoret.
The
city of champions.
Ndu can't remember where she was. So such a long time ago.
Thank you for that last part of why. Because you want to make it seem as if I was somewhere lost in space.
Such a long time ago. You don't even remember. Was it this year that you were at that place, or was it the other? I don't even remember, right? Right. Grace was in the city of champions, Eldoret.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Now, Grace, thank you very much for joining us. And timely that you've actually come to join us, because the last time we were speaking, we were talking about what needs to happen in terms of making people to see development and what development means. Then we've also talked about the very many things that you raised when you were a member of parliament in, what was that? Was it the 11th parliament?
Yes, 11th.
It was the 11th parliament in 2013 to 2017 with regards to empowering communities. Now we are in the midst of the worst drought in a generation in this country. It was declared a national disaster by former President Uhuru Kenyatta in September 2021. We have still very many people who are facing starvation, 4.5 million people in dire need of relief food. And the government is giving updates and saying, look, we need to think about how to feed more, because there are counties that are classified as alarm drought phase. These are the counties of Kilifi, Mandera, Marsabit, Samburu, Turkana, Wajir, Kitui, Isiolo, Kajiado. And then others are in the alert drought phase. These are Kinagarissa, Lamu, Narok, Tana River, Makueni, Tharaka Nithi, Yo County of Baringo, Laikipia, Meru, Taita Taveta, West Pokot, Nyeri, Kwale. Embu is classified as normal drought phase. Millions of people in dire need of food today. Millions of people needing to be supported and being fed today. Now, the government has been doing relief food. The government has been running an livestock off-taking program. Hasn't taken off-taken the livestock from everybody in the community. So animals are still dying.
First of all, let me say I was born in an Asal area at this Baringo, and I heard you mention that county as one of the hunger-stricken areas of Kenya. I can relive my moments way back in 1965 when there was another worst drought like this one, or worse. And I look back and I wonder whether we learn from what experiences that we go through as a country. And after learning, what do we do to ensure that the next cycle, we are ready for it? According to me, I think we are very sporadic or reactive. And immediately we solve that problem. We don't continuously ensure that by the time the next Sacco comes. Because we have the weather patterns, we know how our country is, we know which parts are, prone to hunger. But what do we do as a country to ensure that we are ready? To me, I think the most key problem is, I don't know whether we have a very good distribution policy of food. Because as you mentioned, those others who are affected, the others who are not affected, they are a bit lucky because they are in a certain part of the country which is productive. But how do we move that food from where it is to where it is needed? I think there's a problem there of lack of distribution.
Do we actually lack a distribution network?
I think so, because we should be planning in a manner that we have stores in those areas. Once we harvest, we ensure that we store it in a good way. And then they are moved to those areas before the drought strikes. And when it strikes, then they are given the food.
So what's saying essentially that we know that these areas are prone to this kind of geographical behavior. We know it in advance. And so what if we're being prescriptive about what ought to happen, is that because we know what the land looks like, we know what it is likely to produce or not produce, we know that geographically there will be drought at a certain time just because of the area within which this part of Kenya is situated. So there ought to be plans to deal with that time when it comes. Right now, the mitigation efforts are that 4 million people need to be given relief food in these areas that we've talked about. We're not talking about let's plan. We're saying that today, Thursday, they need to eat something today and tomorrow. Is it sustainable, or is it the right way to go?
You see, when we're in the middle of it, like now, we've got to give them food. And that means concerted effort from everybody, civil society, non-governmental people, other governments. We just, as it has been declared, that conversation needs to be very present. I don't think I hear it or I see people reacting positively to it and moving to give, because the pockets of how to give are not even very clear, So I think for those of Kenyans, like now they have harvested, like in September, November, they are still even harvesting up to now. But what is the conversation they are getting? People may have planted potatoes, cabbages. They were even complaining in Laikipia that it is rotting in the farms. So why don't we then do it practically? We just tell people this is a problem in our hands and we need to deal with it. And then there are updates every now and then. And encourage the population to be sensitive to those other people.
But then, so there are two things that I'm hearing here. One is in the areas where the regions with high production, they have a problem with glut at harvest season. The regions of low production, they have a problem of scarcity. Now, we are in an open market society. Open markets would mean that demand basically just ensures that there is supply, because supply will follow demand. Now, if there is demand in the low production areas, why is that demand not being met by supply? Because there is a source within the same country, in some instances within the same region.
I want to believe that, you see, when we say demand, it would mean those guys in the low scarcity areas moving to or attracting from the high potential areas.
Yes.
But then I don't think they are in a position to help themselves at this moment. So there is need, for example, if people contribute to the hunger or relief, there is need to move that food, and even if it means buying from these others and distributing to the others, so be it.
No, that we're talking about now. Okay, so right now, because of course of the dire situation that they're in, they don't have the purchasing power.
Yeah.
But ordinarily, because you say normally we seem like we don't seem to learn. Every time, every cycle, every harvest season, we have high production, we have food going to waste. And these are the sites, the ASAL areas, they have low production. They're not getting that food. That food basically goes to also, it goes to waste. Why is in the market thinking of, okay, there's going to be some need after a couple of months? Those guys in low production are harvesting now, but their food was, in low volumes, so they'll need something.
Yeah.
Why are you saying that? What are these things that will be hindering the market from purchasing, storing for future consumption later?
I think the problem could be, you see, you are considering the purchasing power of those characters in the low production areas. They are mainly pastoralists, and they are set in their ways. They issues like bananas, avocados, things like that, it is not part of them.
They don't eat.
They don't eat those things. I remember there was a time there was a problem in my county, and I called ladies to come with whatever they can from the farms. Some brought bananas, some brought avocados, a lot of it, because it was a lot.
That's what they have.
But when we distributed, those people kept it, they left it on the floor. They took the bananas.
The people in Baringo.
Yeah.
They took the bananas, they left the avocado.
They left the avocados on the ground. And they said they didn't know what it is. So there is that issue about helping these people learn that you consume whatever there is for survival sake. And also we should have a program where I was seeing in the TV a lot of animals dying, and why not slaughter them and store the meat for a rainy season?
And this is one of the things that we're saying. So shouldn't this strategy then be at a graduated level? Because if we look around the country, there are those areas, many, that are currently, or looking at, as a result of the rain, looking at glut. The pouring away of milk in some cases, the throwing away of potatoes, animals that are dying, which, like you said, can actually be stored. These are things that we know traditionally, but then now imagine if it's at a graduated level where, from the national point of view, we are looking at storage capacity of drying meat, which has been done for centuries.
Yeah.
Drying meat, and then it can be reconstituted later, sold later. We're looking at dehydrating milk, putting it in powder form that can then be bought and used later. We're looking at drying potatoes that also can be reconstituted later.
Even bananas.
Even bananas.
So many things. Even
absolutely. Drying them and then hydrating them later for use. Desiccating maize and things like that. Shouldn't this be at a national level? Because it is the same national government today that is looking for relief food to distribute. So you can imagine if it had been stored. So then all you're doing is moving it from storage and then bringing it to the people who are in need at that time. And you don't have to go through this struggle because you already know that this thing is going to happen.
Yeah, that is the issue. That lack of concerted effort, that lack of planning, lack of continuing to do it. It shouldn't be that after, when the hunger, we stop. It should not be. We should not stop. And those animals which are dying there, they should be slaughtered before they become whatever. And then you store the meat. Then restock when the rains come. Yeah, they will still multiply, and they will be there for them.
I see socio-cultural issues. Just from the example that you've given and the questions that I was asking about market and market demand. If people from a certain region do not eat certain things, you take cabbages, they don't eat cabbage. They don't eat avocado. They don't eat carrots. They don't eat this. And those are the areas where they don't grow carrots. They don't grow cabbages. They don't grow avocados. So the people who have the carrots and the cabbages and the avocados will only sell to a small market, and then the others will go to waste. Even if that market, I'm not talking about here the market as a system, actually bought the carrots and avocados and went and stored them and packed them and dried them, there'd be no market. Because the other side, culturally and socially, they don't consume them anyway. So this is just without a period of drought. So in that period when there's no drought, the market is not incentivized to actually make sure that they're taking off everything that's being produced. in these high production areas. So the same thing happening with livestock. Culturally, this person will not sell their cows. I have 1,000 head of cattle. They're fine, they're not dying. You're coming to tell me, now you can start buying because you see the National Drought Management Authority and the Weather Meteorological Department have started predicting that, you may not have sufficient rainfall, so you can now sell off 30% of your livestock. The guy will look at you and tell you why. I'll sell when I need to sell. So those issues, I think, also play a big part in why this thing does not move. It becomes an emergency, and at that point of emergency, even now, the government is not distributing dried milk. It's doing powdered milk and canned what? It's distributing what people know. Mahindi, mchele.
Na maharagwe.
Maharagwe.
But anyway, I think as a government, the government should intervene because they have the mandate to kind of come up with a program and tell these guys, within this time, these animals are going to die. So we better have them slaughtered and the meat stored, and you will be given. You eat them when the time comes. Because I also find it that the Mwananchi himself, they're not responsible for their own well-being. During my youth, at our home, my dad would store honey, and it should never be touched by anyone unless there is hunger. They used to collect kumbe, those white ants. Then they bind them into some paste, mix with the honey and keep it there. They would keep things like millet. Millet, it doesn't have any problem with the doo-doos and things like that. So it is kept in a particular store which nobody touches. Because they knew there is a rainy day. There is a time when we'll need it. Okay, meat. They would slaughter meat and put it above the fireplace for smoking. And we would not touch it because we know it is for that time, But right now, I think people are not looking at that and preparing for it, even at a personal level. Because there is this issue that, okay, the government will rush in if there is a problem. But the government needs to force people to do certain things for their own well-being.
If you look at a traditional society and you've painted a very good picture, they had granaries. They may not have been huge in size, but it was for that very purpose, knowing that there would be a time when we wouldn't have the food that we have. In fact, historically, this town called Kisumu, is actually Kisumu with an O, Tusumo meant precisely that among the Luo community, meaning when you don't have food as a result of drought or whatever problem you have, Tusumo means you go so that you can be given food. Now, that is in lieu of butter. But the understanding was that you, in turn, should that cycle now work against that other community, they can also come to you. So this mitigation against these natural disasters existed traditionally.
They were there. They knew.
Because these climatic changes and cycles was understood. Because again, here are people who would dry, among the folk that live around the lake, they would dry their fish. That's how it came about.
For months.
Now, the modern world in which we live in, we are not the only continent where you have pastoralists. You've had pastoralists all over the globe. And there are lessons they have learned because they've also had these cycles are global. It's not as though Kenya is the only place that has it. And because of science and the understanding of technology, there are ways in which some of these natural disasters can be mitigated against. Because if these areas we speak of as the ASAL areas, and the problems are now becoming perennial, meaning it's like almost every year you have a similar problem. In a lesser degree, but it's still there. Now, surely, what Mheshimiwa talks about in terms of slaughtering, it isn't that difficult. You don't really even need what you call a fixed abattoir. It can be mobile. I mean, what I'm trying to say is that there are very many ways, and yet despite the knowledge that we seem to have in this country and research that has been done in those areas and the mitigation that have been suggested, when we have the dire situation we find ourselves in, it means very little of what was suggested and what was planned has been done. That's why we have the same situation recurring, and we're talking about the same thing over as though nothing has ever happened or nothing has ever been proposed to mitigate against it.
Mm-hmm.
So where's the gap?
The gap is that nothing.
Because you've said there is a lot of data and information on this.
There's a lot of research that has been
Kenyans
done.
are very bright.
There are many programs that are run by government around these areas.
There are many programs that the government says it runs around these programs. They exist. They are even funded.
Mm-hmm.
And they even have a name. They even have people who actually look after them. There are people who are in charge. They pay personnel. But when you have the dire situation we find ourselves in, year in, year out, you have to ask, what do these people really do? Beyond talking about what they do.
Sure. And let's also acknowledge the fact that in the time that it is happening and that you want to mitigate, it is too late to mitigate at the time of the emergency. It is too late. And I think that's what we keep saying here, that this drought situation is perennial. You already know, for example, that there will be another stint in 2023. The geography will tell you that it is going to happen. There are organizations that are set up just to see what the pattern is going to look like, and they tell you in advance
with accuracy
that this is what is going to happen. And so we're saying that if traditionally, historically, that these have been planned for by communities and individuals and families. We have an example here of honey and termites being stored and fish and meat in the fireplace. It's not just your father in that area who did it. I'm sure
it was everywhere.
Many families did the same thing. It was a communal thing. People did it. If communities did it, it was tradition, it was understood. And the question continues to be, if these individuals who understood it passed it on in terms of knowledge to generations who are alive today and find themselves in government as experts, people who live in the community, why are we not able to replicate the same at a graduated national level?
I think I'll bring it back to the issue of the community. Like you said, what are citizens doing about it? Do they have this knowledge? Was it passed on? Was it actually taken up by the current generation? Let's take a break though. It's 27 minutes to 10. Time for CT to serve Mheshimiwa Grace Kiptui some Minute Maid juice. Take a break. This is the moment for that break.
Thank you.
Patia Mheshimiwa some juice kidogo, Minute Maid, so that we can have this conversation. It's 27 minutes to 10. Let me tell you about Showmax. Showmax Pro, for only 2,100, you actually get to watch not just Showmax, all the series and movies and documentaries that are available there, but you also get to see live TV. So you want several live TV channels, including news channels like KTN News and others. You'll find them there. You want live sports, you'll also get it there. So you can watch the Premier League, you can watch Spanish La Liga, you can watch live events, for example, Formula One, on your Showmax. Just by upgrading it to 2,100 shillings, you get Showmax Pro, or you get the Showmax Pro Mobile at 1,050, which then gives you access to Showmax Pro on your mobile device. Do that today and enjoy unlimited entertainment.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
3, 2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Eric Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalamia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
The baridi ni degree ngapi hapo?
Hata sijui, lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
Is the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu. Kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ when he slapped those guys wenye walikuwa wanauza mboga ndani ya kanisa took them to heaven.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Still looking at partly cloudy conditions, mostly sunny actually in Nairobi at 18, highs of 26 and lows of 15. It's 15 and sunny in Nakuru, highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 25 in Nyeri, where it is sunny this morning. 24 will be the high in a sunny Eldoret, and we're looking at mostly sunny conditions at 28 in Mombasa, going to highs of 32 as well in Malindi. It's 22 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 28 and lows of 19, and Kakamega will see sunny conditions at 23, going to highs of 29. Kampala is cloudy at 21, highs of 26, and we're looking at cloudy conditions at 28 in Dar es Salaam, going to highs of 32. Johannesburg, sunny at 19, highs of 29, and we'll see highs of 34 in clear Lagos. Cloudy at 25 in Kinshasa, with highs of 27 and lows of 22. Beijing, cloudy at 3, that'll be the high, coming down to lows of -2, and it's cloudy at 11 in Paris, with highs of 12 and lows of 9. London, rain showers at 12, highs of just that and lows of 8, and it's 4 degrees and partly cloudy in New York. We'll see highs of 11 and lows of 4.
London Mulo and DJ Absolute. When the gang is together, you know it's
Sugar and spice.
Great vibes, conversations, a lot of humor. I like to say we don't give an F, we give 3 Fs.
You and I are in this relationship, so it is me to tell you who we are.
When you ask a chick, how many guys have you been with? She's like, including you. If it's fun, it's funky, it's fresh, you're definitely going to catch it here. I don't know what you do every day from 11 a.m. to 3 o'clock. If I were you, I'd tune in to SpiceFM 94.4.
I want you on my team.
So does everybody else.
Much better now to come out of traffic hour, according to the clock. It's still busy on Uhuru Highway, however, getting into the city and coming off a thicker superhighway much better as well. We're having some of it on Kiambu Road, still really heavy. Through the morning, let's talk on Spice FM, KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
From a woman rep for Baringo County, we are talking about the pain of hunger in the country. And she says relief food will not end suffering in arsonal areas anytime soon. We've got to do more. Karone agrees, because Karone says if we fuse agriculture, hospitality and food nutrition, it'll be very easy to introduce our communities to new delicacies. Anything cooked well will be embraced. Catering companies should have stalls in the ASK shows. People will learn to eat new meals. We have plenty of food. You agree?
Yeah, I agree. And I was also thinking during the break about devolution. The government is now near. Governors who are from asal areas, they should have programs on how to deal with their units called the county as far as those issues are concerned. And having the mandate, you can even mobilize the community, the professionals, the churches, whatever. I mean, if to me, I think all what is missing is a concerted effort and planning. Yeah. Because if there was a way where our governor would call, for instance, and say, okay, in the next few months, there will be an issue here, we need intervention here. I'm sure Wananchi are very, very willing to assist their own, for example.
Yeah.
But do we do that?
Even mobilizing resources. For example, if, let's just be direct here, if we look at the way the community of northeastern Kenya mobilizes resources for business, okay, just take Nairobi as an example. You see, the Somali community in Nairobi is able to quickly mobilize resources and get into business, new business ventures. Somebody has a business idea and you talk to them and they tell you, you actually go to the community and you say, I pitch my business idea. And people say, how much do you need? People put in money and you're able to to start your business. If you think about livestock production, livestock off-taking, the abattoirs that city you're talking about, and the community leadership, it would be possible, not just for the hunger time and the drought times, but constantly to have a well-structured livestock industry in those counties. We're talking about those 3 counties, Garissa, Wajir, Mandera. Some of the leaders, some of the community leaders, some of them are actually serving as President William Ruto's economic advisors, own abattoirs in the city.
Mm-hmm.
So they know what it takes to set up an abattoir. They know what it takes to get that abattoir getting livestock for export. So it's ideas that they could actually mobilize on. How can you set up an abattoir in my home county of Mandera, so that the community knows where they can send food, send the markets, establishing markets, establishing the abattoirs, getting that meat processed. Meat gets to the Nairobi market already processed, or the external market already processed.
How very right you are, because if you look at, say, for instance, the government plans to start off with infrastructure, roads, and then look at how the government is trying to expand the airport facilities within the country. What on earth are we doing having abattoirs only in Nairobi? There are no cows in Nairobi, apart from the ones we see struggling along the road. The places where you actually find the product,
they're in the assholes.
That's where you should have an abattoir. Now, we already have airports in some of the northeastern or the northern part of the
Isiolo
country.
has an international airport.
It does have. So this issue of transportation, the road network has improved. Why kill half the cows just by transporting them on some crowded truck when you know full well that this is something that could be done there? See, as you were talking, I was thinking of my neck of the woods and the fish cage farming, which was not just growing but becoming lucrative until the fish started dying. And there's a whole debate around it. Fish were being poisoned. The experts said, lack of oxygen. But then if you look at it, it revolves around the pollution of the lake. The factories around it, industries around it, and what the government has not been doing. Yet we have NEMA to ensure that the lake isn't polluted. Now, that's a consequence. So an industry that was slowly developing. It isn't as though the Mwananchi doesn't have the initiative. The question that was on my mind even as we were speaking, does the Mwananchi move ahead of the government and do things despite the government, or try to find ways of working with the government? I look at something like education, and I look at the private sector of education and how it is, again, individual initiatives. The bulk of the new schools we seem to have in the country are not built by the government. Look at the health sector. It's the same story. Now, but the government provided an enabling environment, meaning in the absence of the government willing to license such enterprises, they also wouldn't exist. So what am I saying? We have success stories where the government, through the means it has at its disposal, have worked with the citizenry to actually better the lives of the citizenry. And I'm thinking, this matter that we've been discussing from time immemorial about drought and the problems in some of these semi-arid areas and arid areas, that same effort doesn't seem to exist. It's like the people who are there are left to their own vagaries and to their own issues. Because even this issue of banditry that we keep talking about, do you really think that if an industry such as the one we are speaking of, like an abattoir and other industries that are peculiar to those particular regions, were actually there and livelihoods could directly be derived, do you really think some of these things that we see would actually exist?
They would not. And I think there is also a lack of support.
Yes.
Or a nexus between the government and the citizens. Because I really believe that if populations were mobilized, they would do wonders. Yeah. And they would that support needs to be seen, even at the level of, you remember those guys, they were called what? The agriculture extension officers.
Yes,
like that.
yes.
They earn salaries, they are existing, but you never see them in the village. They never come to talk to anyone. They never encourage people to plant A or B. people who used to plant maize and beans, they need to be, encouraged to plant other things, like millet, sorghum, things that can be dried and kept. And also to teach them how to store food. Because I think one of the issues is lack of storage.
Yep.
They may work very hard, they harvest, and then it goes to waste.
Yep.
And yet we pride ourselves as very learned people in the country and all that. We are able to but why is it that they are not encouraged and they are not assisted? Case in point is, in my youth, I used to hear President Moi all the time taking yellow maize to Gambani. I don't know whether Muga you remember.
Not only do I remember, I've eaten that yellow maize.
Yes.
It was called molio.
Yeah, so it used to be taken almost every time. But right now, apart from Kitui, where you have mentioned and other, affected areas, that community of Ukambani, they changed.
Machakos and Makueni are not on the list.
They changed.
No, they're not.
Why? They were encouraged by their leadership, I think, and maybe non-governmental organizations and things like that, to adopt new ways of feeding themselves. And they plant a lot of legume, fruits. They even feed Nairobi. Maembe and all those things, they call beets and oranges generally.
Yeah.
And green grams and all those things. You don't take yellow maize. Case in point is that community. Why is it that we don't mobilize the others? Yeah.
What do we need to do that? Is it changing policy? There's a policy.
The policy is there. We need to just roll our hands and do the job.
Policy. There's an entire agriculture sector policy. There are laws.
And we have an entire research portfolio called Calro.
Yes.
Who support this. So whatever you do is relevant. There's no guesswork. They'll tell you this is what works for you here.
Yeah, but there is this disconnect where it's like it is said and never done.
Never done. What do we need to do to get it done? Like you've said, if food and food security is a devolved function now, with agriculture being at the county level. So what is it that counties need to do, county governments need to do? Because that's the one basic and most direct thing that you're dealing with your people on a daily basis. You come and show them that I changed it. We used to face periodic starvation and periodic hunger. We have stopped it. People see it.
Yeah, even organize tours.
Yeah, from other
areas.
Say,
those other areas, take them to Makued, let them see. Because that community, I really have allowed the community of Ukambani. They really moved, and they took it, with a stride. And they have changed that relief kind of situation.
Mheshimiwa, let's look at the county you come from. They've had similar problems for a long time.
Yeah.
In the time, you've been in politics. What have you seen that has been done that could have changed the livelihoods of people there in the same way as you've been saying about Ukambani?
Very little.
See,
what they used to do when I was young is what they still do up to now in the rural areas. But of late, they have been encouraged to plant fruits, for example, mangoes and things, but not to the extent that can guarantee them, food.
But has there, how sometimes you do something and then the result of it, you say, okay, this is good. Has there been any learning and saying from the fruit planting now, because we know that there's some mangoes, for example, that have come out of parts of Baringo and things like this. Has the result been, okay, if we plant something different, we can see the result and it is good. So then let us multiply this. Has there been any kind of learning from that? And I mean, truly, because the treasure that rests in organizations like Calro is huge and not being used at the Ministry of Agriculture, where there's strategy that is already in place to have some of these things happen, that you can see that a community of people who never used to plant would never have a mango orchard in the middle of Baringo, for example. But you see that you can harvest and this fruit can do something. Even if you do not consume it, you can sell it and you get something, then you can buy what you will consume, isn't it? So have we seen that people have said, look, guys, this is what you can do, this is the result, and this is the benefit, let's do more of it?
You see, what I see is individual initiative, One farmer comes, he's been exposed. He plants those mangoes, for instance. Then the others say, oh God, you mean it can happen?
It can happen.
And they multiply, they do it, they adopt. So what is missing is practical issues here. And the governors, because now agriculture is devolved, every governor, wherever you are, look at what is good for your people. And then you improve on it and expose them to other new crops and other ways of survival. And you see, like the churches, for instance, it's a non-governmental organization. These pastors, priests, and bishops, they have these people every week in the church. Every week, and they are not coerced, they come by themselves. And they sit there, even if he preaches until 4, they won't believe. How come we don't use those kind of networks to be involved in the life of the communities and show them, like now, let them plant kale and dry them for a dry season. Let them, why can the church, for instance, have departments of, touching the lives of these guys?
The way they have schools, for example.
From Monday to Saturday, they are on their own. They come on Sunday, you tell them the Bible says, and they go. And you take a little of what they bring to you, and that's it. Why is it that they are not involved in the day-to-day basis? Because long time, I used to see colonial missionaries. They would make sure that they have involved the community in planting maybe groundnuts, anything that was good for that region. They would show them that it can come from here. But it has stopped. I don't see that kind of activity going on.
Because the church is extremely influential.
Very.
And they are one of the few institutions whose edicts are not really questioned. The church says, people say it's okay.
Yeah.
They have said. As you're speaking, I was thinking of how then do you get people to see? Because change is easy when the benefit can be seen. And so the example you spoke of, somebody starting it off or piloting it, it's usually been the best way of doing it.
So why can that county government even have a demonstration farm or something?
And by the way, again, Calro and all these government institutions that do these things will be at your disposal if you ask them to come over and assist.
It just takes a phone call away.
Yes.
Or a visit.
They're looking for those opportunities.
That's what they are actually mandated to do.
So now the issue is, why aren't we moving? Why aren't we being practical?
Mheshimiwa, you tell us, because
I think one of the issues
you have been an elected leader, so you
one
know.
of the issues and things that may discourage even the general population from contributing to this could be the fact that we've had stories of even the relief food being taken away and used for the wrong things. Maybe even the money that comes for that purpose is diverted, probably. And then people get discouraged.
So it's a business.
Corruption could be at the center of it. That is why
it doesn't move forward.
Pushing people towards that point of
you can write the budget. You indicate the budget. This is for mobilization of one India, blah blah, and then it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
Maybe that could be the reason.
What? No. Like,
I mean, it sounds like it to me as well, because here we are looking at a situation whereby people are dying. Look, people have become so desperate that it is food in your belly that you're searching for.
Yep.
We're not talking about even trying to live a luxurious life or even trying to... No, food to eat. One meal a day even. Try something to put in the belly to stop you from dying from malnutrition. Children, 960,000 is what we're looking at. So it's, for me, if you look at it as a normal functioning human being and look at this situation and say, okay, wait a minute, there are things in place that we can use to mitigate this situation, but we don't do them just because the only answer for me is that there is something that's stopping you from doing this thing which you ought to do, and it must be of some benefit to you for this situation to continue.
But it is true, Ndu, but as you know, Mheshimiwa has given us a clear pointer. You know, we keep talking about the perennial corrosive self-interest that we see in many political leaders.
That's it now.
And those who are in positions of leadership. Because somehow in this country, people in those positions want to be wealthy, but they don't just want to be wealthy, they want to become billionaires. It's no longer millionaire, billionaires. Now, to do that, and you don't have a viable business that has value, it means you're going to focus on government coffers and anything that comes to the government and which is intended to help the livelihood of the Mwananchi. That will be your target. That's what you're going to focus on.
Without realizing that, you know what? If everybody is surviving, if everybody is thriving, there presents an opportunity for you to also thrive.
A bigger opportunity.
Isn't it?
Not just an opportunity. It's a much bigger opportunity.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so here you are saying, what? Without realizing the contribution you are making to more people dying. So for me, it's criminal. For me, it's actually criminal.
It is. And you see, there's a book I read. This Moy's book, written by Morgan.
Andrew Morton.
Andrew Morton, yes. Page 45. In there, they're describing a situation which happened in Baringo in 1928. That people had starved so much that it took like a week or 2 weeks to feed a single man on his feet to be able to do a day's work. And there is a statement that at around that time, they dispatched 1,000 porters carrying food to the starving Tukens.
In 1928?
Yeah, from Eldoret through Tambach to Baringo. Then I look at 1928 and now. We have not been able. We've not been able to sort out that issue of our bed.
Almost 100 years.
96 years.
Almost 100
years.
Yeah.
And those were colonial masters. They had their own interests, of course, but why? We have been independent for about 60 years. Yeah. I'm almost the age of Kenya.
Kenya.
I'm about to be a senior citizen and I age as a grandmother, and the thing has not been sorted. Sincerely.
Yeah. No, we need to keep
and more counties are getting into the bracket.
This. Yeah? And agriculture
is devolved.
So it means the people who live there, who've experienced everything we are saying, actually have the money to. They are in charge and they have the money to actually change.
Yeah, some governors are my age.
Yes.
So
and they have seen this thing.
Yeah. Well, we need to keep asking these questions and raising these points. Thank you very much, Grace, for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure having you on the show and speaking to you on the phone. It's been a while. I think you have been busy now. Please be calling more often. And then you keep coming more often.
Let us pray that whatever we have said will sink into some conscience of some Kenyan who will move it forward.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation today. Join us again tomorrow morning, Friday, the 13th of January 2023. And as we look forward to the next episode of The Last Door by John Allen Namu on Maisha Magic Plus, on DSTV and GoTV. Make sure that you watch that. The first true crime documentary in the Republic of Kenya, done by an award-winning journalist, John Allen Namu. Keep it here for more. There's Yolanda and DJ Absolute coming at 11.
Sugar and Spice.
Sugar and Spice and everything nice. In the meantime, make sure you buy Kiwi so that you can win
35,000 shillings.
Some school fees worth 35,000 shillings. Have a lovely one. It's 10 a.m.